learning lots to be knowing about people. Gotta reach 'em.
To your point and to Rachel's point, he, has a lot of opinions about childless women like myself or divorced people like yourself. Do you think, well, my point is here.
But at least it was said in a friendly manner.
My point is, do you think the Republican Party is getting a little bit too judgy about people's lives when you think about abortion or when you think about what J.D. Vance is saying?
I don't think, look, I think that the Democrat Party is really the one that has the problem. I think they're radical on abortion because they're allowing abortion in the 9th month. They're allowing the death.
I think it's
they're
about
allowing
freedom,
the death of a baby after the baby is born, based on the governor of Virginia. Based on the governor of Virginia, they're allowing the death of the baby after it's born. They're allowing abortions in the 8th and 9th month.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you about these boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 770 cities around the world. We just finished 15 years of broadcast excellence. Now in our 16th year, the Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. The Democratic Party and Kamala had a chance at picking Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, but as many of the radicals objected to placing an Israel-loving Jew there, she then picked Governor Tim Walz. A few states to the west, Minnesota. Between Kamala and Tim, I don't know how we'll survive if they cheat their way in. Let's get to know Tim Walz. Signed a law granting driver's licenses to illegal aliens. Wants free health care for illegals. Passed measures to make illegal aliens eligible for free tuition. Get that, taxpayers? Free tuition. You know that where that's coming from. Support sanctuary city policies. Refuse to send many Minnesota National Guards to help control the border. Says if Trump builds more walls, he'll invest in a ladder company. Results under Walz? Violent crimes surged 30%. Police force shrunk by nearly 40%. 50,000 Minnesotans left the state from 2020 to 2022, plus 22% increase in prices. This, and on top of it, a raging battle with armed forces who claim Governor Walz is stealing valor from them. His actions to quit the military just when it was announced that 500 soldiers were ordered to fight in Iraq. Quite a record for a China-loving baby hater. I just don't know who's worse, Kamala or Timmy. But together I predict America will be far worse, and the world waiting for them as bad things are now. It will become socialism and communist. Good luck getting help from our staunch allies like Israel. Hi there, my name is Dave Weinbaum. I'm your radio podcast talk show host. and I'm here with my lovely bride. Just walked in. Actually, I got to count that as on time because she always does it right as I'm getting ready to talk.
But I did
Good morning.
I did it right before you spoke.
You done good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I know how you worry about my approval too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do have a problem though.
What's your problem?
I can't find my phone. Do you think
You can't find your phone? You know how many times? Wait a minute. Women out there.
Call me?
Okay. Lisa!
JP, will you call me, please?
Yeah, my phone's over there. All right. Go ahead. I never thought this would happen on the show.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, now you tell me, ladies and men, do you ever lose your phone, and how many times a day do you lose it? And it's right there. Naturally, it's right there. We've solved a major problem already. We've got her phone. Now, if she can only find it in her busy little bag.
It's a good thing we found this because the ringer was not off or anything.
Oh, I'm so
there
impressed.
Could have been disturbances during
the
show.
So darn impressed. Now, may I continue with the show? Anything else you're missing?
No, but here's some cough drops for you.
Oh, thank you, darling. I do appreciate that. I did ask her to bring that. Yeah, all of 3 of them. Thank you, dear.
I have more.
That's all right. I'm happy with what I got. All right.
I have more.
Okay, so we've got a great show today. I mean, really a great show, and I'm ready for this show. All right. I mean, I just am ready. We got JJ Bradshaw coming in at 8:10. He's a constitutional expert, especially when it comes to the Second Amendment. We have Rabbi Moshe Rothschild calling us from Israel. I did not think that I was going to get Rabbi this week because they're in the midst of possibly having a full-on attack from Iran, from the Houthis, from Yemen, from Hezbollah in Lebanon, and still remaining in Gaza, still the Hamas. It's incredible. They've all threatened now to annihilate Israel. Last week he was worried that it was going to get so bad that Israel would have to use atomic weapons, and we'd all be in World War III. And there he is. You know what he just said? Moshe Rothschild, I'm still alive. Yay. That's all the way from Israel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Moshe, Rabbi. So he'll be on, he's listening. Amazing. We've got Chris Adamo, the expert on socialism and Marxism, and he's always wound up. He's a wound up person, and we want guys like that because they're ticked off about things, and we need to talk about that. Okay, Bill Hardwick is a state rep and a lawyer, and he's going to have a real good take on this wise guy. Wise guy. Hey, that's a good. Don't tell him because that's a pretty good clip for him, isn't it? Hey, I'm just a wise guy, right? Okay. Anyways, Chris Adamo, and then Bill Hardwick, and he's going to have a lot to say about this because he led a platoon in Iraq. Okay, he led a platoon in Iraq, and he'll know everything about it. Being a lawyer, being a professor of law, and a philosopher, and one of my favorites, who always comes up with scoops for me, and I'm sure we'll find one or two today, Jeff Zink. He'll be on. His son had been arrested and jailed for a while in D.C. for the 1/6 excursion. I'm not even calling it a riot anymore. And we have a bunch of clips today. In fact, we didn't do number 2. Let's do number 2 because we got a lot of clips, and it's from Chicago. This is Trump facing a whole crowd of black people, which is fine. And who was supposed to show up? Kamala wasn't there. Kamala was invited, and she just let Trump out there, and they tried to do a hit job on Trump. And you know what? He kicked butt. Hit it.
The Republican Party, what we're doing is bringing it back to the states where everybody wanted it. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservative, everybody wanted abortion brought back. They didn't want Roe v. Wade in the federal government. They wanted it, everybody.
But the majority of Americans oppose Roe v. Wade being overturned.
They don't know about this. Right now, they're voting. It brought it back to the states. Now, I happen to believe in the three exceptions. Ronald Reagan believed with rape, incest, life of the mother. I do. I think most people do. I think most Republicans do also. But if you take a look, right now they're doing, it's an amazing thing, out of the federal government, it's in states, and people are voting. And I will say, Ohio is, let's call it a more liberal version, has been approved. Kansas, the same thing, a little bit surprising to a lot of people. But the people are now voting.
This gentleman usually has a tinfoil hat on to keep all that knowledge inside and not leak it out. And today he's got his tinfoil yarmulke on. He's not Jewish, but he might as well be. And I meant that as a compliment, by the way. But you know, he's an expert on the Second Amendment, and he goes all the way back to the republic being formed back in the 1770s or so. Please welcome all the way from Rolla, Missouri, my friend, John Jeffrey Bradshaw. What you got, buddy?
All right, I'm going to peel this yarmulke off so I can let some of this knowledge in.
Man, there's a lot of things that were floating out of there.
Isn't that a pretty head?
That is a pretty head.
Dave, you stole some of my thunder in your monologue, but let's add a little depth to it. Let's talk about Kamala Harris and some of her social faux pas over the last few days. You mentioned Shapiro versus Walls, and Shapiro being a leftist Jew and Walls being a leftist Marxist. This is like the choice of right or left. It's still an issue. Do you think that some of the Jewish vote will be alienated by Kamala's choice of a Marxist rather than a Jew? I don't know. I don't know people that
better
are better
than me. Donald Trump believes that Jews are now coming to him, and even the Hollywood kind are coming toward him.
Dave, that was happening before the Shapiro versus Walls choice. I think a lot of that
I think it's been escalated.
I think that was a lot of that because of Kamala's lack of support for Israel. You know, you mentioned stolen valor. I'm a veteran. I carried an M16. I got stuff shot at me. And Walls had a long military history. He was I think a staff sergeant, was getting ready to be promoted to command sergeant major, went to the school.
But hold on. That's a big deal. When you say sergeant and sergeant, but that's one. The last one you mentioned is
command sergeant major is a big deal,
right?
And they really only want the best of the best for that kind of a position. Apparently, he washed out. But then he turned right around and advertised that he had retired as a command sergeant major. He has not. I thank you for your service. I did my time. You did your time.
No, I didn't do my time. I thank you for your service.
But don't lie about it, Walls. You got a DD-214, which most anybody can look up, that says what you were and where you served. So give us all a break, will you? So stolen valor, I don't know if that's a big deal to the voter. It did remind me of John Kerry, however, if you remember John Kerry and the Swift boat debacle. I have a rather long memory. And back then, John Kerry was very much ridiculed about lying about his military service. Perhaps we're in a kinder, gentler world and people will not ridicule this clown over that. I just lied because I'm going to ridicule about it. You don't lie about the military
I think they have been ridiculing him, and I think a lot of it's from the mainstream media even.
Well, yeah. I'd never heard of this guy until Kamala started putting him on the short list. And I looked into him a little bit, but what I saw kind of disgusted me, and Kamala kind of disgusts me. So I didn't look into it very, very deeply. I usually do, but not this guy. But we're talking about Kamala. You notice that Trump did a better than 1 hour interview from Mar-a-Lago the other day. Yeah. And I listened to it. And the man was taking questions from the press, unscripted, no teleprompter, no nothing, just standing there. Kamala, on the other hand, has not done a single interview. She's done a couple of rallies, but she was reading a canned speech off a teleprompter, which reminded me a lot of Joe Biden, although she actually reads better than Joe does. She has not put herself before the public, as I believe she should. And they're keeping her away from the public because she comes on as a bozo, a cackling word salad moron. So of course they would want to keep her away from the public. The public will tear her to shreds. So she's been well hidden.
So she's in whose basement, like Joe was? I mean, I think that's kind of over now because we've had one full term of Trump, and everybody knows he was being dragged down at every step of the way, and still came up with this contrasting great time in office and great results, and they just turned that all around, and here we are in the major hold of an economy that is sucking wind every month, and I feel it. Small businesses feel it all over the place. A lot of them have gone bankrupt. A lot of restaurants have gone bankrupt, and we're kind of hanging on here, because I'm in the restaurant business, as you know. And so
I have a few words to say about the economy a little bit later.
All right.
But let's finish on Kamala. I have an unverified source, I have not double-checked this, who said that Kamala might be interested in an embargo on arms to Israel.
Yes, I saw that.
About as anti-Israel as you can possibly get. Here's a country that is fighting for its very existence. Very soon it's going to be fighting a war on three fronts instead of a war in Gaza and with Hezbollah. Iran has indicated that they would like to do nasty things to Israel. So here's a country in need. Now, they're a pretty tough country, but we do supply arms and ammunition to them and should. We have a treaty with them that suggests we should do that. And for her, the potential commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the United States, hope it doesn't happen, but potential commander-in-chief saying, yeah, maybe we ought to not supply arms to Israel. Well, Kamala, that's wrong. That's wrong on so many fronts. I hope the rabbi has some words to say about this.
Oh, we're going to be talking about that, believe me.
So Israel's in a bad spot right now. You've got the current commander-in-chief of the U.S., who has really tightened the screws on Benjamin Netanyahu about coming up with some kind of a peace deal and getting the hostages back. Netanyahu would rather win the war. Good for you. I would rather you win the war. Wipe out Hamas and go get the hostages yourself. Pay no attention to Joe Biden.
Your hostages, either ransom them or whatever. You don't want to even ransom them because that enriches them and they do it again.
Well, frankly, I'm sure most of the hostages are dead anyway.
So now, doing it, they won't do it. I think they're holding out because they're feeling a very weak administration from whoever's running this government in America. We don't even know that. Biden, is he running it? No. But they know that as long as they can keep them out there without attacking them, they're going to keep on going. They're not going to.
Of course they are. We have a government whose chief executive has oatmeal for brains, and they know that, and everybody else in the world knows that. Ask the man in the street in the United States who's not a hardcore Democrat. He's going to tell you the same thing. The man's a moron. I don't know who's running the show. Some cabal have left us up there. I couldn't begin to tell you the names. I hope if Trump gets the presidency, we find out who these clowns are and prosecute them, hopefully for treason. You mentioned economy. You know, McDonald's and a lot of fast food has taken a hit because people don't have money in their pocket anymore. Well, this last week, Japan's stock exchange, the Nikkei, which is pretty well reflective of stock exchanges in Asia, took a 12% hit. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Now, they recovered some of that and got back to maybe an 8% hit, but that's still a big deal. And right afterwards, our stock market took a hit. Why is that? Well, there's considerable unrest in Asia as far as monetary is concerned. Japan in particular, they have had very, very, very low interest rates for a long time and has put their economy upside down. Us, on the other hand, have spent like a drunken sailor in a whorehouse, and we have considerable inflation in our economy. So the dollar versus the Nikkei is not such a good exchange rate right now. Are we in a recession? Ask the man on the street, he'll say yes. Ask the government, they'll say no. Well, a recession is 3 upside down quarters in GDP, and we're hovering right on the edge of that as we speak. Are we going to go into recession? I bet. If the current clowns in the White House continue what they're doing, and by the way, the clowns in our Congress continue what they're doing, end up in a recession. Will it be a global recession? I sincerely hope not, but maybe. So we got to have a regime change in this country in the worst sort of way, Dave. It's time to get some MAGA folks in here and purge the morons out of our government, and in particular, the serious leftists that we have that are running our government. We never voted them in. That election was stolen. No question in my mind.
That's what I was going to say. We got to stop the steal. They've got a plan to do it, but we'll see. They got all these illegal aliens. Trump thinks it's even more than 20 million illegal aliens, and they're all stuffing them with right away now. They're all getting, not all, but as many as they can. They're getting them voting cards via driver's licenses and things like that for free. And you know who they're going to vote for?
Well, yes. This is the most shallow. They're not even trying to hide this stuff anymore, Dave. This is the most shallow of intents. And you know they want to steal this election. You know they have plans to do it. If we allow this election to be stolen, we're doomed. The United States of America will no longer exist as it was intended.
JJ, let me throw a statistic. 8% or 7% of the of liberals that were asked, is it okay to steal an election? Said or 80% of 7% of people from the conservative side, the MAGA side, were asked if it's okay to steal an election, and the majority said no. On the other side, they asked the liberals, and they 68% said yes.
Yeah, actually, the liberal side of that thing, Dave, if you're talking about the same poll I'm thinking about, was done at the premier universities in this country, Harvard, Yale, et cetera, where many of our leaders have come from.
They think they're smarter than us.
Of course they do.
And we need to be led. They have to drag us up, and they're the stupid ones. Is what, because their results show it.
Dave, I bet I'm a better shot than they are.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah. Let's talk for a moment about Cory Bush. The McCluskeys.
Woo-hoo! Highlight.
Yeah, the McCluskeys have a serious problem with Cory Bush. I
did get him on the show this week, and I wanted him so bad.
I'd love to hear what Pat has to say about
maybe next week.
Bush. But Cory Bush, for those of you who haven't been watching politics, got primaried. The Dems spent $18 million attempting to support her. And she lost out to a fellow named Bell. And Cory Bush, there's a little soundbite out there on the internet that says, this is Cory Bush speaking, "I'm coming to tear your kingdom down."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was talking about Jews, by the way.
Yes, indeed. And anybody that does not support her leftist agenda.
Yeah.
I got a hell of a good chuckle out of that on election night.
Yeah, I smile, but I don't, you know, when people are saying they're coming out to get you, I take them seriously. You know, if they say it, they might want to do it, actually.
If you think you can do it, come on. Come on. There's a bunch of us be happy to welcome you at our doorstep.
Yeah, sure.
So, you know, we talked briefly about stocks. There's a little poll regarding the economy that came out a few days ago. And let's see, we're going to be running up the clock pretty soon. 56%. Now, these are people that intend to vote in the November election. Okay, that was the criteria they used. 56% of those surveys believe that the economy is already in a recession.
Yeah.
55% of those believe the economy is shrinking. Well, you as a business owner recognize that the economy is shrinking a lot faster than you'd like it to happen.
Sure.
72% believe inflation is increasing. Now, our government continues to tell us that inflation is decreasing. Well, decreasing from what? Decreasing from a ridiculous high of about 17% over a few years? That's like saying you're not mortally wounded, you're just bleeding. It's the same argument.
You're saying, well,
here we are. So the result of a liberal Congress and a liberal executive branch, we're $34.6 trillion in debt. $1 trillion, Dave. That's 12 zeros.
Yes.
I'm a smart guy, and I have a hard time imagining a dollar amount that big.
Yeah, and the interest on it.
Yeah, the interest on it is going to take about 70% of our GDP next year, and that worries me.
Well, their idea of fighting it is to raise taxes.
They're going to raise taxes and print more money.
Oh, God.
So we will be the equivalent of the German Weimar Republic, where it took a bucket full of marks to go buy a loaf of bread. I mean, that's where these people are taking us. Now, if I've said it a million times, I'll say it 1,000,001. Please vote MAGA November the 5th. Please, we need to have conservatives in our government who are willing to bite the bullet. Now, I've got 2 minutes left, right? Approximately.
Oh, no. Why are you telling me how much time you got left? Okay,
well, I know how much you allot. And you got commercial break coming up that you don't want to miss. After all, we have a shrinking economy. You need to boost some sales. India, a little while back, about a year ago, I had predicted that India would be the beginning of the global recession. And India had some serious monetary problems. My hat is off to the legislature and the executive branch in India, who instead of printing a whole lot more money, shrunk their government. They bit the bullet. They went through about 8 months of pretty tough times, and they came out on the shiny side of it. I wish China had done that. I wish our country would do that. I'm willing to tighten my belt if there is a greater good that's going to come out of it. So my hat's off to India. Well, it turns out the global recession is going to be led by China and the United States instead. Who would have thought? Okay,
Trump,
Dave.
I believe Trump can fix this, though, JJ.
I think so.
I mean, he's a smart guy. He really is a smart guy. He's done it before, and he can do it again. Now, that's the big deal, is you've had 4 years of Trump, and you've had 4 years of idiocy, complete opposite Trump. Mm-hmm. He pumps oil. Biden kills it. Kamala kills it. He closes border. Kamala kills it. Biden kills it and opens the border. to everybody and anybody, okay? And we know why they're doing it.
Of course.
They want to replace you, replace your jobs, especially blacks and Latinos, and they want you to be perpetual Democrats forever. Okay.
Well, they want us all to be subservient to big government. This is the only way they can get it done. Now, if Donald Trump gets elected and we end up with a majority of conservatives in the House and Senate, I think some good things can happen. Right now, the Senate race is so close, you can't get anything passed. So you end up doing things by executive orders, which is a very bad way to govern. Very, 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 very bad way to govern. All you have to do is look at Biden's track record, and you can see what a disaster that is.
All right, listen, if you want to stand for just a moment, I'll play 2 more clips, and then I got to get to commercials. Okay?
I'd love to hear them, Dave.
All right, hit it.
They don't want to see an abortion in the 9th month or the 8th month. Almost everybody agrees to that. And they certainly don't want to see, in the case of the governor of Virginia, the former governor, I might add, who said, we set the baby aside and then we decide what to do. Meaning, what do? We execute the baby. That's a radical, horrible position. And some people want that. I don't want it. Most people don't.
Thank you. Can I just pivot really quickly to another question about, you brought up health, Harris. You're an active man. We see you golfing all the time. But if you win, you'll still be president at 82. Which is older than Biden is right now.
But not mentally. Absolutely. If I thought that I was failing in some way, I want people to be sharp. I'll go a step further. I want anybody running for president to take an aptitude test, to take a cognitive test. I think it's a great idea. And I took 2 of them and I aced them.
Well,
I took 2 of them. But let me ask you, I would like to have people running for president, and I don't mean because they're 75 or 85. I think anybody running, I'd like to do it. People say it's not constitutional. I would like to have something passed where you can do it. I think we should know. I mean, I've watched what's happened in the last couple of years under this gentleman, and our country is a mess. We have inflation. We have the millions of people falling in. We have Afghanistan, which was the worst, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
All right, JJ, thank you so much for being a star on the Dave Weinbaum Show, the opening act, JJ Bradshaw. Thank you.
I'll be talking with you next Friday. I'll be ready.
Okay, brother. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Let's do our commercials, and then the rabbi, who seems to be eager to go, he's already threatened me. Let me read a couple of those notes he had on there first, because the rabbi is on my back for some reason. I don't know why. GN Hughes, good morning from Texas. Good morning, GN. Thanks for listening. Buddy Wolf, good morning, Dave and crew. Good morning to you. Patricia Odin Maxwell, sounding good, looking good. Go team. All righty. Moshe Rothschild, I'm still alive. I'm so happy for that. Moshe Rothschild, I'm listening. Be careful what you say. He's getting a little aggressive, isn't he? Patricia Odin Maxwell, thank God. So glad you're all right, Rabbi Moshe. We love you and your family. Ditto. Okay, so that's it. Let's do the commercials, and we'll be right back with a special report from Israel from Rabbi Moshe Rothschild. Hit it.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Raleigh, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle, you don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments, that's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333.
Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day. ACAR Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have. Gotta reach 'em, see it right now. Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
Maybe it's for a kitchen you've always wanted. Maybe it's just to have a little extra room.
Whatever the reason you're considering a new home loan, it's good to know that Town & Country Bank will guide you in the right direction. Our experienced local lenders are here to help you with a new home construction, remodeling projects, and fixed and adjustable rate home loans. You can even start the process online by clicking Online Mortgage Center at tcbanks.com. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Yeah, 1 second, Dave. You were talking to another rabbi? Sounds like you're cheating on me.
No, actually, I'm cheating with you on him because he was the first rabbi. Listen to this. I got rabbis fighting over me. This is kind of weird. Ladies and gentlemen, wartime rabbi turns your dollars into updated helmets and other needs of the IDF on the battlefield. He brings it to them personally. Please welcome all the way from Israel, Rabbi Moshe Rothschild. So now you're spying on me, so to speak? Is that true?
Spying? No, I want to hear what JJ has to say.
Oh, well, that's better, much better than threatening me on the air. My goodness. Don't you have enough trouble over there you want more? Oh, you don't want more of that. By the way, they put your book up. Tell them what your book is. Put it up again, Jade.
Yeah, I see it there. Yeah. Maybe put the link up also. But yeah, this is my book, Secrets of the Hebrew Bible, which is all based on if you don't have any experience with Hebrew, then you miss so many layers of meaning. The Bible originally written in Hebrew, and so imagine talking to your loved ones with a translator. But this book allows you to avoid the translations and deal directly straight, even though you can't speak Hebrew. We dig down into the language and the nuances of the text, and definitely, I think, of course, I'm biased, a very fascinating, interesting read. So you can grab a copy at that website there.
Well, I might be biased too, and I loved it. And my 14-year-old granddaughter, Lexi, she loved it. Okay, so and she understood it. She's a bright gal, I guess. Anyways, congratulations on the book. Cory Bush loses. She's one of the major Jew haters in ever. And in fact, they raided our friend Mark and Pat McCluskey, raided their house and threatened to kill him and rape the wife. 350 of these Antifa and Black Lives Matters in St. Louis. He's been on the Tucker Carlson show a lot. He's got his own radio deal now. And so what do you think of that?
Well, first of all, she's the second one from the squad to go down after Jamal Bowman from the Bronx. We're hoping next is maybe Ilan Omar. She might be next. But we're very, very happy. And the fellow who won, who was, I think he was Attorney General, I think, in St. Louis. And he is very pro-Israel. Very well, very balanced, very likable.
Yeah.
And he beat her by like 5 percentage points, something like that. And quite handily. So we're very, very happy.
The Dems spent about $18 million on her campaign.
Yeah. Look, that's a lot. I mean, AIPAC did spend a lot of money on his campaign, not quite 18 million, but
she threatened the Jews.
She's threatened them. Yeah,
she threatened the Jews,
I saw that.
After that, yeah. I mean,
I saw that.
Let's see. Is she?
She's happy to take. She's happy to take $18 million, but when someone else spends money, of course, you got to blame the Jews as usual. But she's her own problem, and the Bible says, "Those who bless you will be blessed; those who curse you will be cursed." And there it is. People want to ask, "Where's God?" Well, she got what was coming.
I would say so. Hey, so speaking of other people that should have things coming, do you still trust in Kamala and Biden to help Israel? I mean, is there any way these guys are going to follow through on anything?
Look, I never did. I mean, and Kamala is this week had a hard week as far as her Israel bona fides when she agreed to possibly introduce an arms embargo.
Yeah, I
when
saw
she was
that.
meeting with some Arab leaders, Muslim leaders from Detroit, and even if she was just pandering, I mean, it's not something that an ally would say about another important ally that we're
who does that help?
Consider even.
Who does it help? Tell them who does
Well,
that help?
It only helps Kamala try to get votes in Detroit. That's all it does. It's
But
not
it
good
gives
for America.
Hamas and your enemies hope.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying. It does not help anyone. The only one it helps is Kamala, who's trying to pander to get votes. From the Muslims in Michigan. Trump took Michigan. And then Biden, I think, took it back the last election. Michigan's a very important state. Pennsylvania, Michigan, these are swing states, and she's
Those
terrifying.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania too.
And
I mean, Kamala's a left-wing San Francisco liberal. She's like terrifying on so many levels.
Well, let's talk about Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. But who, I've heard that he's a real jerk. However, he is in favor of Israel. He is a pro-Israeli Jew, and the headliners in some of the Democratic Party were downplaying him because he is a Jew. So now that that's happened, and you've got this guy, this I mean it, Walls, give me Timmy Walls. He's had him put tampons in boys' bathrooms. Boys' bathrooms. This is the weirdest, unbelievable guy that's ever there.
Right. I think the issue that we see here is that the Democratic Party, to be pro-Israel or to be Jewish, has become a liability. And Josh Shapiro probably would have been a better pick as far as he's very wildly popular governor in Pennsylvania, and it's a very important state. But the whispers is that she didn't pick him because he's Jewish and pro-Israel. He had to stand up and backtrack on things he said 20, 30 years ago about that he thinks that there's no possibility of a two-state solution. And he had to explain why he doesn't believe that anymore. And, to be
Who are you talking
pro-Israel,
about? Wise or Shapiro?
Shapiro.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He had to backtrack on things he said when he was 20 years old that he didn't, that he had written against a two-state solution. And he was almost forced to apologize, so to speak, for being so pro-Israel. And it's a real liability. And I think Kamala saw that, and the liability was too great to have a Jew and someone who's pro-Israel in the Democratic Party. And that's what's disgusting and terrifying.
The Democrats are now in the position of Hamas. They hate Jews more than their ability to win, which could cripple them in the end.
Look, the polls are showing for the first time.
70 people don't show up for Netanyahu's speech in Congress, and they're all Democrats.
Yeah. You could, Trump could carry more than 50% of the Jewish vote. It would be the first time ever
that's right.
A Republican would get that. It's very close to that right now. And, every time Kamala opens her mouth about Israel or anything, she loses more Jewish votes. And we'll see what happens. But this could be a first time in history.
I think even Hollywood is turning on him.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. But
I think they got real problems. I can't wait to see this so-called convention they got coming up. So it's weird. Things are different now. It's not like it's 2020 and you can cheat without anybody recognizing what happened. They're just now starting to prove stuff, okay, from the 2020 election. And we'll be talking with Jeff Zink later. But
now, did you see that move? I love that move by J.D. Vance on the tarmac. Did you see what he did
I'm
there?
not sure.
Oh my gosh, you got to see this clip. It's brilliant. His plane and Kamala's plane landed at the same time.
Yeah.
So he went over to the reporters and he said to them, "Hey guys, I just want to talk to you guys because, thanks for coming because she's not going to talk to you." And he gave he gave this whole speech saying, that I know you guys are probably lonely following her around because she won't talk to you. So I'm here and, I'll give you the whole, you got to see, it's a brilliant clip. It was brilliant. I'm surprised you did. I thought that would have gone viral.
I didn't know that part of it because I think it forced her to come out and talk to these guys a little bit, right?
I don't think she did, but in the clip, he comes right over to all the reporters who are following Kamala, and he said, "Here, I'll talk to you guys because I know she won't." And he goes on and on and on. It's hysterical.
Well, right now, Trump and him are well, Trump at least is 10-0 on going to press conferences against Kamala. She won't show up.
Yeah,
and she's being told, "Don't show up." She's going to run from the basement. I don't know how she's going to do it, and rely on cheating. I don't know. They're going to be watching. So okay, so why do you think Iran and the Houthis and all the rest, Lebanon, haven't struck yet? Because you were last week. You were.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, they're still.
You scared the hell out of me.
Well, they're still talking about it, and they say maybe this week, and who knows? But I think we might have restored some deterrent.
Which is why? What?
Because of the fact that we managed to kill such leadership from Hamas, leadership from Hezbollah. I mean, it's unbelievable what we were able to achieve, and I think we may have scared them.
What does that do to prevent them from?
Well, I think because their leaders know if they come after us, that they're going to pay a very, very high price, and that's a price they're not willing to pay. Now, I don't know if you can get this up there, but it's about a minute-long clip. I just sent it to you and to JP of J.D. Vance on the runway. I don't know if you can get that up there for your viewers. It's hysterical.
All right, he's gonna do it. Let's keep on talking.
There it is. Yeah.
There he is.
So let me share it. Give me a second. I'm going to share the screen here so that we can actually see it, or everybody else.
Yeah, no worries.
That's great. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
because this looks like
I got to see you.
Very entertaining here. So
it's very entertaining. You'll love it. It's great.
Right. Okay, here we go.
Hey guys, how are you? Hi. So I know you're covering the vice president here. I figured I'd come by and just get a good look at the plane because hopefully it's going to be my plane in a few months. But I also thought you guys might get lonely because the vice president doesn't answer questions from reporters and hasn't for 17 days. Have they given you guys an explanation for why she won't take questions from reporters? No? Nobody? Okay, great. Well, I hope that she changes her mind because it'd be good for the American people, and I think it'd be good for you all if she actually ran a real campaign instead of one from a basement with a teleprompter. So have a good one, guys. See ya. What would you like to hear from her? I'd love her to answer the questions. I'd love her to just answer what she wants to do and also explain why every single position she has changed. She pretends to be a prosecutor, yet she pretends to be a tough on crime prosecutor, and yet here she is wanting to defund the police. She's the border czar, yet she's opened up the American southern border. This is a person who has to answer the questions from the media, and it's disgraceful that she runs from you guys. It's also insulting to the American people. But anyway, we're going to go do our event. I appreciate you guys being here.
Okay, I mean, that was great, but let me just, we'll get the rabbi. Are you there? That was absolutely great. Thanks for getting that. But why weren't they peppering him with questions? He could have done a whole press thing with them at her plane. I mean, that was great. Don't get me wrong. But
yeah, that's her plane right there.
Why not just say, "Hey, you guys got any questions for me?"
Yeah, I don't know. I was, his plane happened to land right when hers did, and I love that. I know you guys must be bored. There's nothing she won't talk to you guys. So.
That was a great thing. Thanks for the
I can't believe that didn't go viral. That clip.
So all this stuff about being weird and all this stuff about him being this white supremacist who happens to be married to a gal. I believe she's Indian or something.
I think she's Indian. Yeah,
and she's a very smart woman. So they have mixed children. One of the children is named after my lawyer, Bavik. I told him that, and he said, "You're kidding." No. And so it's very interesting to see that you knew anybody that Trump would have picked would have been completely piled on, jumped on, kicked, screaming, and any one of them.
Right.
That's the job, okay? That's typically what they do. And that's typical probably even from the Republican side to do. I mean, we're doing it right now. But boy, do we have a lot with this guy, what's his name, Waltz? Oh my God.
Waltz, yeah.
This guy's the gift that won't stop giving.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's amazing. So in the first time since 10/7, the day when Israel was invaded by Hamas, Bibi leads Gantz in the prime minister race. Did you know that?
Yeah, he's been slowly creeping up, and his polling has been slowly getting stronger.
Why?
And look, because I think if there was a good alternative to Bibi, quite honestly, I think he probably would face stiff competition. But all these other guys, they've never been able to hold a candle to him in any regard. And with all his flaws, with all of their flaws, and you put them next to each other, Bibi's miles ahead of any of these guys. And look, I think this week was, Bibi was on the cover of, I think, Time magazine, and he actually, for the first time, like almost apologized, said he feels very badly about what happened on the 7th.
Right.
He'd never done that before. And I think that might be new to him because of the fact that he was ahead in the polls. Now he feels more confident.
Okay, did you say he did apologize? I thought he did not. He just said, "I'm
no,
sorry."
No, he did. It was well, I don't know. It seemed to me a bit of an apology.
Okay. I mean, he's ultimately responsible. I mean, he is the even if they lied to him and did bad things, they still work for him in Israel, and he's the top guy.
Right.
So
that's right.
So
the buck stops here.
Are Israelis looking forward to Trump too?
Very much. Just, unfortunately, the polls are not so clear right now of who's going to win. And, but then again, the poll said Hillary Clinton was going to win. So you don't know. You can trust
that on the day of the election. Okay.
Right. They use the polls to try to dissuade voters from coming,
Exactly.
And if you think your guy's going to lose, well, what does my vote really matter? And I'm not going to show up.
Exactly.
So believe me, I'm terrified of the possibility even of a Kamala Harris presidency.
Oh my God.
We barely made it through 4 years of Joe Biden. I'm talking about from the Israeli perspective. 4 years of Kamala, forget it. It would be very threatening and very dangerous.
I don't know where you're going to get him, but you got to get some allies. You got to get more allies because you can't take that risk.
Yeah.
So I don't know where
the whole Middle East. The whole lineup of the Middle East has been people lining up with China and Russia. Israel and the United States. That's the last. If the United States turns its back on Israel, they're turning their back on the Middle East because there's no one left. All the other countries lined up with Russia and China when they realized that Obama was not a good ally and wasn't going to stand by them. And so the United States needs Israel. This is a very important region in the world. And it's not only good for Israel, it's good for America.
I mean, obviously, you know, a lot of people in America, almost the entire Democratic Party, does not favor Israel. All right.
Right.
So it's a tough one. That's why I say,
bad for America.
Even if it's China, even if it's India, you need to have people that are going to be at least in the running for helping Israel. And I think you know, what would God want you to do? Here, you're. This is a lesson in God. You're on a tightrope right now, in my opinion. And what does God want you to do while you're on this tight little string that you're holding on to?
If we knew the answer to that, it would be a lot easier. We don't know the answer to that. But
How does God
one thing I do know.
How does God guide?
One thing I do know is that, you know, self-preservation is obviously the most important factor here, and Israel's got to always do what's right, what we think is in our best interest, and wherever the chips are going to fall, they'll fall. You know, but that's the reality.
All right. So, and another question: people are now becoming not just anti-Semitic, but they're anti-Zionism. So, what is the definition of Zionism in your mind?
It's very simple.
Yeah,
it's very simple. It's the right that the Jewish people have to establish their own national homeland. That's it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It's not racist. It's not against anyone else. It's simply the right of the Jewish people to self-determination in our national homeland. That's all it means. No different than patriotism means in America. The word we use is Zionism because that's the biblical word for Israel is Zion. So, you know,
and yet
love
it's
for our
being
country.
used to blame a certain kind of Jew who's destroying the world.
Right. They'll turn it into this like racist type of word, but all it means is the right to self-determination in our homeland, and that's what Zionism is.
Okay, all right, great. I wanted to get that out of you.
Yeah.
So
very important.
So what does well here any rabbi rants or Ben and Jerry scoops? Say hi, Lisa. Hi to the rabbi.
Hi, Moshe. How are you?
Hello, Lisa.
You know,
nothing
she's trying
in
to work you out of
particular.
a job. She's now a minister.
No, Dave.
You're not a minister?
I'm not going to work him out of a job.
She brought. You know what she did? They gave her a huge King Solomon sword. I mean, a real huge one. I don't know how people pick these things up.
You've seen Pastor Pat's swords.
Yeah. Okay. You've seen these swords, right?
Yeah.
She brings it home.
Yes, I certainly have.
She brings it home, and she's holding this thing, and she says, "Hey, turn around." I said, "What do you mean, turn around? You know, it's like the Gladiator movie." I said, "Well, can I at least get a warrior's death?" You know, and I get on my knees. She's got the sword, and I don't know what she's gonna do. You know, it's a little scary. That happened, though, didn't it?
Didn't.
Yeah,
I never asked you to turn around or.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. All right. Anyways, other than, do you have any other rants or scoops?
Nope. I'm good.
So last week it was DEFCON 5. This week is what, about DEFCON 3?
Yeah, maybe they're still talking. We were still waiting, seeing what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think your
Hopefully
point about, though, that you actually got two or three leaders, I think it was, and some of them actually were wanted by the government of the United States. One guy had a $5 million reward
bounty.
Yeah. So that probably is a wiser solution than doing some explosion that's liable. It's all going to kill people, but you know, the leaders get the message. I think
I think so.
They don't care about their people. They use their people as shields. We all know that. They all know that. And so
That's right.
when you go after the guys that are using people as the shields, instead of people who are the shields, you nail them. I mean, you nail them where it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find and contribute?
They can go to our website, IsraelAlliance.org, or Facebook.com/Israel Alliance. We'd love to hear from you.
Did you hear about the Dutch boxer who is disqualified?
No, I haven't.
He kept hitting people in the Netherlands. You don't want to hit people. You don't want to hit people there. You know, it hurts. All right. Okay. Rabbi Shabbat Shalom, I'm glad it's at least
Thank
that
you.
time. 3. Okay. They got secretsofthebible.org, right? Secrets of the Hebrew Bible.org, and you can get one of his great
your copy.
All right. Shabbat Shalom, my friend.
All right. Take care.
All the kids and Yonit. Thank you so much. And that's Rabbi Moshe. Let's do a little funny stuff. Yeah. Well, now I got to pay those schmucks overtime. I tell you not to do an extra one, and now I got overtime. Oy vey. You know.
I don't like that.
Okay, all right. So I came down a little hard, and you just quit being a baby, for goodness sakes. All right, let's do Eddie Murphy.
A man goes into a restaurant, he sits down, he's having a bowl of soup. He says to the waiter, come, taste the soup. Waiter says, is there something wrong with the soup? He says, taste the soup. He says, is there something wrong with the soup? Is the soup too hot? He says, will you taste the soup? It's wrong. Is the soup too cold? Will you just taste the soup? All right, I'll taste the soup. Where's the spoon? Aha. Aha. What do you know from funny, you bastard?
All right, so I have a challenge. Try this joke. Go out to a restaurant or something like that. Even if you have to hide your own spoon for the soup or your fork for, bring your waiter over and say, "Hey, taste the salad." What is it? Was it brown? No, just taste the salad. What? Not enough? No, taste the salad. What? No, there's no onions. Just taste the salad. All right. Where's the fork? Aha. What do you know about funny?
That could backfire, though, because they could just take a piece of lettuce and all that and just with their hand and all that. May not even ask for the fork. So.
Well, it could. There's always risk in comedy.
It's just really bad advice.
Why? I think it's fun.
No, it's embarrassing for those of you dining with you.
I walked into a, I think I was in Florida or something like that, and I walked into where was I? Orlando, and I walked into a sushi place, and I asked for the chef who spoke broken English, and I say, hey, you know how you make a spider roll? He says, yeah, I know how. I know what I'm doing. I says, well, you don't. He says, what? I says, here's how you make a spider roll. Cut off its legs and blow. Oh my God, this guy looked at me, gave me a squinching stare, and all of a sudden it was, ha 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 ha. I tell everybody. Okay. All right, so you guess so you didn't like that one. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do let's do the Kamala AI one. Yeah, let's do Kamala. This is a great one. This is a new one too. It's a new one. Okay.
AI is kind of a fancy thing. First of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, did you like that? Send me some messages. You can call the show, 573-578-2700. That's 573-578-2700. And, or...
you can also reach us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Rumble.
All right. Do we have anything else new on the board?
Nothing new on the board yet. So just kind of monitoring to see if we get anything.
That's fine. So Lara Trump, she's the daughter-in-law of Donald Trump, married to Eric Trump. She's building an army of 100,000 poll workers and over 500 lawyers to monitor the 2024 election fraud. Because we know, I'm not saying that we don't expect the fraud, but we expect to make it minimized to the point that it's not going to throw the elections like they did. Like when Bill Barr announced it, remember him, Donald Trump's AG, the Attorney General of the United States, still working for Donald Trump on December the 3rd, 2020, less than a month after that election, is saying, "Oh, there was no fraud. There's nothing there. There's not enough fraud for you to worry about." Where's the investigation? He never did an investigation at all, and I can guarantee you at this point, I believe 100% that particular election was stolen. They're just they're figuring it out right now. They're doing a big investigation in Georgia. And this actually involves Fannie Willis. Sorry about that, Bob Willis. Not a relative. He wants me to make that a point. But Fannie Willis, oh, stop it. What are you moaning about? I got Mona over here,
I'm waiting for the good stuff.
You're waiting for the good stuff? Oh, my God. You
didn't see me yawn earlier, did you?
At least you weren't kicking me like you do sometimes, or eating smelly food. Did you eat your smelly food yet?
Yes.
Good. I'm so happy because I did smell that. She brings food to the show. I know. Okay, eggs have a specific smell while you're doing radio, and you don't expect that egg smell. Okay, it does. I've learned to combat that. I have learned because I hold my nose when you're eating your breakfast. They don't see me doing it because I hide it well. Anyways,
wow.
Elon Musk. Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. And that's why I only do one show a week. Elon Musk.
Thank you.
Calls out Venezuelan election fraud backed by Secretary of State Blinken, that this lying president there says he'll fight Elon Musk. He'll get into a fist fight with the guy if you claim that I'm cheating. And I forget what his name is. He's threatened now, Elon Musk, and Elon Musk says, "Bring it. I'm ready." Okay. The guy's got guts. Okay. He really does. And he might be crazy for all that matters, but you know what? He does have a lot of guts. And that's interesting. California, Chevron, 100-year-old oil company, is joining Elon Musk and moving to Texas. Okay, moving to Texas. Isn't that something? Everybody's moving to Texas from California. They're all leaving Minnesota. They're all leaving New York City. What do they all have in common? They're Democratic run. And they're Democratic run and add into the ground. All right, what they did to Trump. You think the average businessman in New York City is going to stay unless he's a Democrat and has protection there? They're coming here. They're coming to places like, well, why not Missouri, for goodness sakes? We should be, this is relatively sane here, even though some people that are leading the Merrimack Women's group or have done that are here in this room, by the way. Who could that be? I don't know.
I don't like that talk. No, I don't.
What?
What else you got?
Well, you got a lot of stuff here. Thank God. Ow! Oh, yeah.
There.
No, that's wrong.
There.
Oh my God. Okay, play the thing.
You've been spoiled lately.
Oh my God. That hurt.
Which one do you want?
You know which one.
I'm totally drawing a blank.
All right. Well, it's the one where I don't know.
Oh. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. You're supposed to anticipate my needs. And by the way, hi, Rick Henderson. I forgot to say hello to Rick Henderson. Hi, Rick Henderson, another producer on the show. Hit it. Ooh, that tickles. Stop it. No. All right, let's do basketball. I lost my nuts.
I just
damn. We gotta go straight to the basketball now. I think my nuts just dropped off. Oh man, that hurt. Yeah, see? Are you happy now? See, I know you hate that.
No. You're correct.
Yeah, okay, well.
That's one of my least favorite things you've ever done.
Yeah. Well, we got to be happy about Cory Bush. And this woman is nuts. And she's threatening Jews. We're going to come get you now. You know, yeah, all right, we'll see. She's now radicalized, she said. She's radicalized? What the hell were you before? Yeah. My goodness. What is this?
So we do have here on Rumble from Brown Girl 1022. That's awesome, Lisa. Congrats. I didn't know that, talking about being ordained. So
really?
Wonderful.
Yep. Oh, so where are these people? Oh, you're putting, how about Dave Bans the Facts? That guy's back?
He popped up a minute ago. Yeah.
Okay. John McCain isn't a war hero because he was captured. Okay. I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't either.
How is this related? Trump is unhinged. A unhinged lunatic.
Oh, he's comparing Walls to McCain.
Oh, really?
He's trying to, but I'm not seeing the connection here. And now he's saying Trump's unhinged. You know he's losing when Democrats are getting more people at their rallies than Trump. Right.
When did that happen?
Right, because I don't remember that ever happening. Okay, very cool.
We'll see. You know, you never know. I'm glad to have you back. Are they paying you still or what? Did they lay off for a bit? How come that $18 million to Cory Bush didn't get her over the top? Okay, that's unbelievable. All right. So, Shapiro, whatever the Dems have you know what I found is that these Dems are all one-sided on abortion. They say they don't want any starving children. They say they don't want any children who can't go to school, who live in poor conditions. They don't want any of that. And yet they will kill babies in the 8th and 9th month. They'll kill babies in the 8th and 9th month. And sometimes, as in Los Angeles, and as they wanted to do in Virginia, they will kill babies after they are born. Okay, I don't understand how you can be that cruel with little babies, and then when they're born, you're going to be so nice to them. I don't get it. All right, now with the exception of, and you can go with these or not, the woman's health in a pregnancy, or the child's health, or there's another thing, rape. Okay, fine. So if we give you all those, then why do you want to kill the baby? because they're inconvenient? That's no reason to kill a baby, do you think? I mean, it would have been convenient for J.D. It would continue for J.D. Vance, his mother, to have him aborted because why? He was born in a terrible situation. Terrible. They're poorer than hell. Okay? And
I want to watch that movie.
And he's written a book, and he's a brilliant guy. We would have not had many people that grew up in these circumstances. Okay, and I have personal stories I can tell you too, but I'm not going to do that because it's it's private stuff. So quit asking, Dan.
We got a couple new comments.
All right, John Jeffrey Bradshaw, the rabbi, did it well as usual. Yes, he did, didn't he? He was on it. Buddy Wolf. The comment was something said about McCain being a war hero, even though he was a POW, because heroes don't get captured.
Maybe.
Okay.
I couldn't make sense of what he was saying.
I don't know. I don't think we talked about McCain. So
we did from the comment from Rumble from.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
From the guy who bans facts.
Hey, nice hat, JP. Yep. Central Ozarks, practical shooters.
Thank you very much.
All right. The cops, COPS. I get it. Charles Peterson. The hat comment was from me. Sorry. I was logged in as the cops. Okay, so now we know who the individual
Thank you
was. Again. For the record. Okay, we got that on the record. Anyone else? All right, let's do another set of commercials, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to be talking to Chris Adamo, the Fireball. Hit it.
Your home is your castle, you don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments, that's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
You can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is 2 words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle, you don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments, that's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333.
Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day. ACAR Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
Gotta reach 'em, see it right now.
Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
At Town & Country Bank, we are committed to providing exceptional service to our customers. We do more than just provide loans for our community. We help make dreams become reality. Whether it's a new home, farm, business, or a new car, we would love the opportunity to help. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly lending team remind you how special hometown banking can be. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Ladies and gentlemen, Marxism expert, author, only Sicilian ever to live in Wyoming voluntarily. He'll tell you it's because how good the pizza is. Please welcome Chris Adamo. Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Good morning, sir. Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not doing that well right now. And by the way, as a side note, it's summer allergy season for me. The goldenrod is starting to come in. So if I suddenly enter into a sneezing fit, I'm going to ask your forbearance and forgiveness.
Oh, sure. Well, it'll be all over the news, though. So, man has fit. Just for that, I'm going to tell you a joke that I just wrote. I wrote this joke.
Oh no! These are the worst ones, Lisa.
No. Yeah, I just wrote the joke. Give it a chance.
Oh no! I'm giving you chances, Dave. Go ahead.
1 minute old. 1 minute old. What's the difference between a gopher and a golfer?
An L.
L?
No. One hits its woods, the other eats it. That's a bad one.
I think that's going to need some work.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Well, with teas, I was going to use teas, but okay. Well, I tried. Thank you for the damn crickets there. All right. Yeah, I really appreciate that too. Thanks for all the help, guys, and thanks for all your hard-earned laughter
I'm glad you guys are upbeat this morning. It sounds like, because I am not. I'm watching what's going on in Missouri and across the country, and I know ultimately we say, and it sounds like just a platitude, but it's an ultimate truth. God is in control. But I tell you something: we, the people, the patriots, the conservatives, those who understand that there's right and wrong. We have got to be loud, 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 because the voice of the lies and everything else are just, they're louder than ever. And right now, they've been dominating more than they ever should. We can say that on the national level. We can say it on the state level. I was in a restaurant on Wednesday and happened to have a TV up on the wall, and I saw a Biden-Harris ad, or what is it? Harris-Walz ad. I'm sorry, they're all the same. Anyway, and it's there's no effort to deal in any kind of fact anymore at all. We just go out there and proclaim that they're the saviors of humanity. They've done all these great things. America's so much better under them, and let's all just ignore what's going on around us. Let's ignore
those
border.
tampons in boys' bathrooms are a key issue in this country.
And when you start to deal with issues, that's what it comes to.
How did they make this? How did they make it without having tampons in their bathrooms?
Yeah. How do we make it this far in life without knowing that men can be turned into women?
Oh, the misery! How mean has this country been?
But here's the thing: if you look at it, they're not going to put Kamala Harris in any situations where she actually has to make statements on the fly of what she is and what she believes and why, because she can't do it. She is. I never thought they'd find anybody that was as much of a mindless puppet as Joe Biden to fill that spot, so that whatever cabal is running things can actually keep doing it. But that's exactly what she is. Yet they're campaigning like he was in his basement in 2020. Exactly. She's out there she's not showing up. She's not talking face to face. She wouldn't talk on the tarmac when JD Vance was out there. And
did you see what he did?
I heard that he confronted the situation pretty boldly. I don't know the details there, but
we played it, so we're not going to play it again. But he got out there in front of her plane, pointing at her plane. I says, and he went to all the reporters. He says, "Well, I guess you're lonely out here because she's not coming out of that plane to talk.
She's not going to show up in front of the microphone.
I want to sit here. I want to tell you this and tell you, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about all the tough situation you got, because she's just not going to talk to you.
Yeah,
I'll talk to you. But
now let's talk. Unfortunately, let's shift to the sad week we had in Missouri this week, because we had a Donald Trump candidate in Bill Eigel. We had a Jeb Bush candidate in Jay Ashcroft, and we had a John McCain candidate in Mike Kehoe. Mike Kehoe never attended any of the debates. Mike Kehoe never discussed the issues directly. But in the last few weeks, just the last few weeks, there was this enormous infusion of Bill Gates money into the Kehoe campaign. And all these my mailbox is full of, my literal mailbox was full of all these slick, glossy things saying that Kehoe is Ronald Reagan and that Bill Eigel is, somehow a traitor.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And then
I had Eigel on my show. He was great.
He is great. And
Don Mayhew was also a state rep. He brought in a stack of these things that were mailed to him, and they were all ridiculous lies.
They were absolutely exactly right. They're lies. This is when we get to a problem. See, in the Lincoln Douglas debates, and I sound like I'm wandering here, but let me tie it together. In the Lincoln Douglas debates, the thing that they had back then was they were trying to bring the issues to the people. Both of them, they were on opposite sides of the issues, but both of them had an honorable desire to inform. And so that's why they did the debates, and they both would get out there and they would try and say, here's where I stand and why. And the people could make the decision, and it worked. We don't have that. We have people like Bill Eigel trying to make their case, JD Vance trying to make their case. And then we have this massive media effort to promote the lies. And unfortunately, in Missouri, you and I are going into the general election session with the general election season with this option. We have to decide, and I'll be honest with you, I don't have an answer. We have to decide between now and November, is it worse to have to elect the enemy across the battlefield shooting at us, or the Trojan horse right next to us in the trenches. That's our option right now between Kehoe and whoever the Democrats got.
Sure sounds like it. I can't
It's a-
agree.
it's-
I can't agree less with you.
You can't agree less or more. It's
I can't agree more with you. I don't know. If I agree less. At least that's a special moment.
You never disagree with me, except you haven't tried the pizza in Cheyenne yet at Mondello's. When you do that, then we'll be totally on the same
Wait,
page.
yeah, you think I'm gonna what happened? Hey, Jay, why does this thing keep going off? It goes off and then comes right back. Well, yeah. Are we still on? You can hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Are you losing my audio?
No, it's not your audio.
Oh, okay.
Am I the only one that's seeing this? I've seen it twice now where it blacks out and then comes back. Oh, forget about it. It's not
See, I was worried you're losing my audio because I don't know if you noticed, but I got a new microphone here.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a big sucker.
It is. It sounds a lot better. I don't have to rattle the other thing around down below. So anyway, I want to get back to the issues about Harris.
Okay.
They are conducting, we've got to understand this and we've got to figure out how to deal with it. They're conducting a media-only campaign. Remember 2020 when Biden was in the basement?
Yes.
And they did two things. They said he's out there leading and he's the courageous leader we need. And then they cheated at the polls. Now, I don't know what we're going to do about the cheating at the polls. I'm hoping that measures have been taken.
I just mentioned they're going to have Lara Bush. Not Bush, but Trump, married to Eric Trump, is going to have 500 lawyers all over the United States, as well as 100,000 poll workers.
Oh, good.
And they're all going to be watching this stuff. We know they're cheating.
Let's hope. The problem is we tend to close the barn door after the horses are out, and so if they're covering these bases, and I'm glad she is, the question is what else are they going to try? And this is what we've got to be, because they're not, if we have things covered, they're going to come up with some other idea. The point is we've got to be ready for dirty tricks. And I'm hoping General Flynn is in there. I'm hoping that the strategists are in there. Oh yes, I got to talk to Patricia Maxwell. She is part of the.
For those of you who are listening, just not watching. Hi, Chris. Good morning. I'm good talking to you. And the other day, while I was on the campaign trail with Bill Eigel and company.
Patricia, if you're listening, please get Bill Eigel to give me a call, because there's a strategy going forward that we need to follow, and I really need to discuss it with him.
All right. I like the way things connect on this show.
Yeah, well, that's what you're about, Dave. I mean, this is what we do as conservatives. We network and we gather together. The key difference is when we deal with the issues, we deal, let's hash this out to find out the truth. The reason I have a very short fuse with rhinos is because rhinos already don't want the truth. And the more audience you give them, the more they're trying to obfuscate from the truth and deflect from it. And so what we've got to do is, as you're doing here, let's get these things out. Let's talk about them. Thank you, Patricia.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about this more and more with, we have Bill Hardwick coming on next. And then after him, we got Jeff Zink.
Great. And Jeff Zink did well.
Yeah. So if you want to hang out, if you got nothing to do, you can hang out and contribute.
Well, I may do that. I don't know how much time I'll have here, but definitely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about briefly, if I can, and I'm sure you have lots. I wanted to hit a few things here. I wanted to talk about stolen valor. Okay. And we've heard this with the Kamala VP pick that waltz out of Minnesota. People are right to be upset about the stolen valor thing. What we've got to look at with it is, first of all, the direct thing that he did, the affront to those people who actually sacrificed, even to the point of giving their lives in battle. I mean, he absolutely disgraces them with this kind of fraud. The other thing we have to look at is we're dealing with a national campaign. We're dealing with the possible, quote unquote, leaders of the free world. And we got a guy who will tell such a, I mean, this is the kid in 6th grade, who says, I hit 2 home runs in the game when he wasn't in the game at all. He wasn't up to bat. Right. We've got almost childish fraud going on here. And what we've got to ask ourselves is, this isn't just a one-off where you made a mistake. I don't know if you remember that George Bush, when he was campaigning, said something about Pearl Harbor Day being September 7th. It was a mistake.
He also said he hated broccoli. He didn't know what a broccoli cost because he won't eat it.
Yeah, and they made a big deal out of this as if it was defining.
What we've got here, what's going on in this country. What's the matter with you?
Well, what we've got here is not somebody who made a mistake and said, I was on this base when I was actually on that base. We got somebody who has an agenda of lies and fraud, and he's the running mate of a somehow coronated presidential nominee that nobody voted for, and that was somehow picked by some insider group. And again, her background is, well, we won't talk about her background, but her agenda is a litany of lies. Because she's in there. She got in there through nefarious means, and we know how she's climbed her way to the top. I'll let you interpret that however you want. And yet we've got this. She's
slept with men. She's proud of it. She's talked about it. I mean, it's not a secret. She slept with Willie, the mayor of San Francisco, and got jobs because of that.
And what does this portend for the future of our country? First of all, internally, as far as the citizenry, what are we going to get from these people as far as our American?
Our enemies are licking their chops right now.
And there you go. You're absolutely right.
Chops, saying, we got all these people now infested into the United States, especially China.
Yep.
And especially our trusted people in ISIS.
Yep.
Okay, we can do all sorts of things now.
And I appreciate your use of the word infesting, because that's exactly how they've operated. They've infested. It really, who knows when it started, but we saw it go into high gear in the Clinton years when the IRS was being used to target political enemies. That was treasonous right then, but nobody would call it treason. We saw it in the Obama years when they turned the DOJ and the FBI into what I call the KGB and Stasi, weaponized against the American people, and it's continuing. The subversion that just the subversion during the Trump years means that a huge number of people within our federal government at high levels need to be taken out, and the polite thing to do would be to take them to Guantanamo. But we're seeing this much of an onslaught against America from within. It is an infestation, as you say.
Sure. So what do you think of the 3 9/11 murderers who were released based on plea bargaining?
Yeah.
And then
well, they escaped the death penalty, is what was said.
General Austin saying, no, we're not allowing that. Some say that might be illegal.
Yeah.
That he actually stopped it.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know what we're seeing. The one thing that we tend to do wrong as conservatives, because people like you and me, we hash things out and say, what's the right thing to do? Yeah. We assume that the enemy operates that way. They don't. Yeah. We know they hate us and lie to us, but you have to understand that they're hateful liars. They hate each other and lie to each other behind closed doors. Who knows what kind of fur is flying? I'm serious. I describe it as a cat fight. We don't know exactly what's going on. I will say this much, that from the beginning of 2020, when they said Biden was going to be the nominee, and I thought, this guy doesn't even know what room he's in on any given day. This was in 2020. He's only gotten drastically worse since. It became obvious real quickly that somebody else was running things, and my suspicions have been confirmed all along. It's been Obama. When you saw how the betrayal of America to ISIS happened in Afghanistan, it was a total betrayal. That's got Obama's stinking paw prints all over it. You look at this deal with these 9/11 attackers, Obama's right in there. I'm convinced, because it
hasn't changed, has it?
It's all anti-American, pro-Islam. Every time these kinds of things happen, it's anti-American, pro-Islam.
I would agree, and it's still there. I mean,
and it's still there.
Who do you think is running our country right now?
Yeah, but again, Biden doesn't know what room he's in. And Kamala Harris, I mean, if you could find anybody that's not suffering from physical dementia, that's every bit as clueless as Biden, there's the one person out there. When they first picked her, I thought, how in the world could they pick her? And then I realized they need a puppet. Yeah. And if they had, I was expecting Gavin Newsom, but the problem with Gavin Newsom, from their perspective, is they might not be able to control him. He gets in and he might start making his own decisions. But Kamala Harris, she walks in, she follows directions.
Yeah. Hey, put up a clip. I want you to listen to a clip of Trump, and I want you to go to, I think it's the one that where he actually is starting the thing. We got a clip that was kind of mixed up. It started in the middle. Clip 11. Yeah.
The elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much. And, and I say this, historically, black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke. And I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing.
Is that both of them? All right. What do you think?
Okay, for starters, what we need to do, and I think Trump pointed towards this. You can hold up my book if you want, by the way. The manner in which she posed the question is textbook Alinsky. Okay, if I call, what's that?
You put him right on defense.
Right on defense.
Oh man, I didn't mean that. I didn't say that. I don't know. No, he did exactly what he should have done, in my opinion.
And her means of doing that was, and we've seen this from the left all along. If you have a female criminal and you point out that she's a criminal, well, you're not talking about what she actually did. You're talking about the fact that she's female. So you're anti-woman. Okay. Right. She mentions all of these criminal actions, all these despicable actions of all these black people that are leftists. And there's a lot of white leftists that are just as bad. We go after Hillary Clinton just as much. We go after Chuck Schumer just as much, but they pick out the fact that, well, these are black, so therefore you were obviously doing it because they were black. Yeah. That's the Alinsky angle. You find some little thing in there. You got to shift away from the real issue, which with the real issue, I couldn't even keep up with all the things she was mentioning. We could go back on all the things she was talking about and point out issue by issue. But the fact that they were black leftists doing it, suddenly that's the issue. And if you criticize that, forget the evil that they committed. We're calling you a bigot. Now you gotta, like you said, go on defense.
And you're not even talking about the crime anymore.
Right. Exactly. I could care less what color the criminal is. I care about the crime they committed.
Exactly correct. In my opinion, if you don't agree, call the show 573-578-2700, or
you can also reach us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Rumble.
Because I'll debate this, and don't call in swearing at all. I'll just shut you down then. But
if people have a decent idea to share, they don't need to use profanity. They can just share the idea.
Oh, that's the whole idea of that. That's what shows what they're really doing.
Yeah,
because they get frustrated,
right?
Because they know they're the racists. They're the ones who are bringing up the race.
Yeah, exactly.
The facts. They're talking about a color.
This gal that was attacking Trump here, this ABC reporter,
Yeah.
her whole goal was not to get information. What does he stand for? What's he about? What is he going to do, pro or con for America? She doesn't want that. She wants to make accusations, and thank goodness
she wants to make him grovel.
Yeah, well, that's how you validate the accusations, and fortunately, Trump doesn't do that.
And which makes him the right guy for the job of presidency, because any other guy is going to back down from it. Even tough.
Too many of them do.
Right, not just rhinos, but some people do that.
Some of them are just they're just cowards, or they're just unsure of themselves, or morally rudderless.
Unsure.
Well, I will tell you this:
they believe they got to be sensitive. Oh, that's
because there's the accusation. You're insensitive. Now go tap dance for me to prove me wrong, and we fall for that.
Exactly. So you know what? Now I don't know what you do. You don't want to deal with these people at all. I like to deal with them because I will turn it around on them. And I says, if you're using race like that, that makes you a racist. You should apologize to me because I happen to be white or Jewish or you name it. And you're the one who's insulting me because of things that I don't control.
The number one group of people that I have no patience for is not the leftist Democrats. It's the rhinos. It's the ones that claim to be among us and that always at the last crucial moment find some way to weasel out of doing the right thing and end up doing the wrong thing. And I'm going to give you an example right now with Mike Kehoe, our Republican nominee for the Missouri governor. They asked him about the whole LGBTQXYZ agenda.
Yeah.
And his response was, and I'm paraphrasing here, but this is what his response amounted to. The schools have succeeded in corrupting the kids and getting them to believe in all of that stuff. So from this point forward, we just need to follow the kids. That was the essence of what he said. And if you want, I'll find you the link and send it to you. But if you look at what he said, this is Mike Kehoe, the Republican who, they all morph into the second coming of Ronald Reagan right before Election Day. But if you look at that quote, you want to know who said something almost identical to that, and this is no exaggeration, Adolf Hitler. He said, you don't like me, you don't believe in what I stand for? Who cares? Because I have the kids, I have the next generation. You'll be gone, and I'll have them converted. Here's Mike Kehoe saying the same thing on the issue of the sexual perversion being forced on kids in schools, and actually the sexual mutilation being forced on kids in schools. This is how he's going to.
Said is what's exactly happening right now. They're going for the youth. They're going for the youth.
Yeah, they are, and his attitude is, hey, if they've got the youth, we might as well follow along. What that was how do I not take a controversial stand on this issue? Because, as you said before, I don't want to be a target. I don't want to. So how do I sit the fence?
Well, we'll know when he puts tampons in boys' bathrooms.
This happens in Minnesota. Missouri is not that far from Minnesota. Back to the governor's race, I will tell you that Kehoe succeeded at what Liz Cheney was trying to do, which is you get out there as the one rhino, and you have two major conservatives, Jay Ashcroft and Bill Eigel, and they split the conservative vote, and the rhino vote gets it. And now you're going to hear everybody say, well, see, that's what Missouri really wanted. We're the bellwether state. We wanted a moderate. No, we got hoodwinked, and I'm afraid we're going to pay a huge price for it.
Well, we'll see. All I know is that the legislature seems to have straightened itself out, and when we get Hardwick here, he'll be able to elaborate that as well, and maybe you can have your discussion about Kehoe with Hardwick sitting in the room. That would be interesting.
I kind of hesitate to do that because I understand. I've had a lot of people tell me, and I understand the feeling that I've been there myself in the past where, well, what are you going to do? Vote for the Democrat? And it's a lot of times in the past we've We've gone into that. The problem is that when you vote for the traitor in the trench right next to you, he can do things a Democrat could never get away with. And at this point, I will tell you, I honestly don't know. And so I'm not going to hash this one out until I see what Kehoe actually does between now and the general election.
I think it's okay to discuss it, and
Okay.
on my show, I'll let you know if it goes over the top based on what I judge. I'm the guy in charge of the show, okay? And so, what I say goes, but I'm going to try to be. I want to know what's really going on, okay?
Yeah,
I want to. When I talk to Hardwick, I don't hold back my questions. All right,
Right, and he's good that way.
Yeah.
And again, I want to know what's going on, but the minute I'm dealing with a rhino, I know, and I'm not referring this to Hardwick at all. I'm talking about past conversations I've had where I've kind of lost it. The minute I'm dealing with a rhino, the point is I know it's somebody who's not dealing up front with me.
Well,
And
he
at
was
that
a big
point,
Idol supporter.
oh yeah, and like I said, I'm not criticizing that. This does not.
I had Idol on
Hardwick
the
is good.
show.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm talking about other people in the past where I have literally gotten extremely upset because I'm seeing them trying to force this duplicitous rhino
Right.
agenda on us, which is
You've done it on this show too.
Yep.
And I told
And
you I can't do that here. I have to be the guy who determines who's going to be on the show, and not necessarily what they say, but how. But you just can't shut people down and expect me to go along with that.
I know you got
I
to be
should
fair,
the
fair
judge
and
of- I should
balanced,
be
right,
the judge
Dave?
of that. I should be the judge of that.
You got to
I'm
be
like
fair
the
and
judge.
balanced.
I like well, as far as I know, yeah. I want the information. I want what
Yeah.
they got to say, even if it's not good, and I will argue them out. I'm not going to kick them out. I'm going to argue them out if I can.
Well, like you said, you've got control of the mics, and that's big because it's your show. You could do that, and you can decide when that happens. I just know that if you go back to my book, chapter 7 is on rhinos, and I call them the essential Alinsky fifth column. We lose battles we should be winning because
And I
at
think
key moments.
your voice is very important for that.
I
You're
appreciate
right
it.
on it. I agree with you 95% of the time. All right?
We'll get you to try Mondello's Pizza in Cheyenne, then you'll agree with me 100%.
They still haven't. I sent them a bill for the advertising.
For the advertising.
They said, you know what they said? They said, forget about it. We ain't paying you. We're not paying you.
I'll tell you what, if you were to hear Giuseppe Mondello, you actually do a pretty good imitation there.
Thank you. Hey, I'm Jewish. It's almost like being an Italian,
Yeah. As a matter of fact,
It really is.
you go back a few generations in my family, and there's some Weinbaums in there, so I can.
There are not.
Well,
You're
there are
lying.
some. I got some Jewish. I have more Jewish background than
don't have
Elizabeth
any
Warren
Weinbaum
has Indian background.
We're too. Weinbaums is not a popular name. It's a rare
Well,
name.
I don't know specifically Weinbaums, but I do.
Weinstein, Weinberg, those are very popular names for Jews. Weinbaum is a little different. I don't know why. There's just ain't that many of us.
Like I said, I have more Jewish in my ancestry than Elizabeth Warren has Indian in hers. So yeah, I can claim that.
Yeah, I heard that. So it's not true then that there was any romance between you and what's her name?
Well, I don't
Liz
even know where you're
Cheney?
going. This is really bad already.
You have no sense of humor that we know of.
Certain things are like just a little too ew. So,
But
yeah, no,
here's one for you. Here's one for you. There's a tape of a cop screaming 3 days before the attempted assassination on Trump, and he was there the day that right after Trump got shot. He's screaming, "The Secret Service were told to post guys on the roof on Tuesday," and it was Saturday, and they agreed. Trump shot from that roof 3 days later. More evidence of trying to kill Trump.
yeah, I that's another one of those things. It's like it's too horrendous for us to feel comfortable speaking the truth, which means we've got to speak the truth. There is no possible way that situation could have unfolded as it did without major collusion within the authorities supposedly involved in security there. Now, we heard a couple of things that were just absurdities. We heard that, and I forget her name now, that Cheadle, that's head of the Secret Service.
Right.
We heard her claiming, well, the roof was sloped. And I mean, that was embarrassing.
That was ridiculous.
Then we also heard, was it Christopher Wray or whoever it was that making the case that the local police were supposed to be in control of this. And so they're pointing fingers of blame back and forth. This is stuff, like I said, out of the 6th grade. Pathetic. I didn't do it. The dog ate my homework stuff. And in the midst of this, we have a presidential candidate, incumbent or a former presidential candidate that we know that this whole DC swamp hates, and they tried to kill him.
And they moved Secret Service guys onto Dr. Jill's appearance away from the Trump group. Okay, the same day.
And my guess is that those were the ones that they didn't feel that they could count on to go along with the attempt. So they have to get them out of the picture, and they because
now Trump is going to have to find his own security.
It's gotten that bad. We're looking at you look at the things that Maduro is doing down in Venezuela right now, marching the army against the people and things like this. And it's like it looks very much like January 6th, only escalated a little bit above that. But this is the United States of America. We're not supposed to be doing that here.
Would you pay to see a boxing match between, is it Maduro in Venezuela against Elon Musk? Because he's threatened. He's threatened to fight him.
I love that.
Musk has accepted. Okay, I love this guy.
I'm telling you, Elon Musk is probably the left's worst nightmare after Donald Trump.
But he was like Donald Trump. He was one of them.
Elon Musk is one of those people. This is one of the things we have hope for in America. He was one of those people who wanted to do good, and he believed the first person that came along that said, this is how you do it. And as he looked, he began noticing, well, what are they saying, and what's the actual consequence of their ideology? And at some point, he broke ranks with them. And the minute you break ranks with the left, even a little bit, they're out to get you. Yeah. And that's when he came to the realization. It's like, well, I thought I was one of them, but I don't agree 100%. Well, if you don't agree 100%, you're not towing the party line. We've got to destroy you. And so Elon Musk has had his eyes open, and in his position, he's their worst nightmare.
Yeah. Hey, let's read the board here for a couple seconds. We got Bill coming up pretty soon, but Rick Camino says, good morning. And he is one of the producers of this company. He does all the bits and the clips and does a good job with them. And
good morning, Rick.
And Charles Peterson, Republican headquarters, is open today at 605 West 8th Street, Raleigh.
F.
What?
F.
F?
F.
Did I say F?
F Street.
Oh.
8th Street.
Yeah, okay, close enough. Patricia Owen, Maxwell, they're picking on me today. Hi, Megan. Glad you're watching today. Hi, that's Megan Johnson, I believe. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're watching today. What a great city council lady. Hey, how about that? And Megan Johnson. Good morning. Good morning, Megan. We got to get her back on the show pretty soon. She's fighting these books that are so livid about the kids having transgenders and gay sex and all this. And
good for her. That's an uphill battle.
And she's on the city council. So we've had her.
Which city council are we talking about here?
Raleigh.
Raleigh. Okay.
Yeah, and we're right across the street from it all. So Kathy Sanford Dillon, happy Friday. If she coined that phrase. If I can't do it, because if I do it, she could probably sue me. Kathy Sanford Dillon, happy Friday, everyone. Have a safe and blessed weekend. Keep your prayers going for our world. May God cover and protect all who need this.
Amen.
With his loving arms. That's well said. Thank you so much. You can find Chris Adamo at, well, we put that up there. Okay. Kathy Sanford Dillon again. I would pay to watch female Kaepernick Olympics boxer against Tyson.
Except he's not a female, and let's just be honest about that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh no, they wanted to put Mike Tyson in there.
Yeah, put a wig on him.
They call him Mike Hella. He was going to challenge the guy.
Tammy Tyson.
Yeah, I think I hear somebody coming in, and that would be Bill Hardwick. How you doing? All right, make yourself comfortable, Bill. I've got Chris Adamo on here, and we're going to have him on. And if you'd like to stay, I'm also going to have Jeff Zink on after this. We got a lot of stuff to ask you.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to play his song first. Hit it.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time to stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, Iraqi War platoon leader. Let me repeat that. Iraqi War platoon leader, and you know why I'm saying this twice. Still in the National Guard, lawyer, professor, philosopher, and Missouri State Representative. Please welcome all the way from Waynesville, Missouri, Bill Hardwick.
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. How are you? I've got Chris Adamo.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hello. How you doing, Bill?
Doing well.
And I kind of want him here because of that. Let me
Can I ask one question?
Go ahead.
Oh, was Waltz in the trenches with you when you were over there?
That's why you now you're taking my job.
I saw this meme that said you've never heard of Tim Waltz before, but now you're going to love him. And then everybody goes, "We love Tim Waltz."
Yeah, I saw that one too.
No, did you know about this?
I never met Tim Waltz. I mean, I know some people who know him.
Did you hear about it when you were when you were in Iraq?
That he was doing Iraq War protests while he was a non-commissioned officer in the Minnesota National Guard, and
he was doing
protests. Yeah,
protests.
That's my understanding. He was protesting the Iraq War. Yeah,
this sounds a little bit like John Kerry.
Wait a minute.
It's a little bit like I don't think so. I think that if you, I guess I have complicated feelings about it. I think that if you're in the military, you should have a loyalty to your country and to your soldiers. And if you're in a leadership position, to America, to the Constitution, to defend our country. And then if you're a non-commissioned officer and officer, you've got a duty to protect your soldiers. That's kind of your primal duty, right? Okay. So, everybody during the Iraq War, Afghanistan, they knew they were going to deploy. Everybody had to deploy at some point. That was part of what if you signed up after 9/11, you knew you were going to deploy. And so I think that there are a lot of people that go on deployments, medical reasons, whatever. They were getting out there, retiring. I don't.
So he was leading protests around the time that you were in Iraq.
I wasn't at any of the protests. No, I was in Iraq from 2007 to 2008. I extended in Baghdad. That's a different story. It's an interesting story. Okay. But I was in. I finished OCS in 2005. I went to the engineer school for Leonard Wood in 2006. Platoon leader, went to Central America, did some missions, like there was some emergency missions. And then I volunteered to go with the engineer brigade from Fort Leonard Wood. went to Iraq. I was an intelligence analyst, intelligence engineer officer for a few months. Then there was a platoon leader, a first lieutenant that was relieved on the spot, like in Band of Brothers. The platoon was like, "Hey, we won't follow this guy into combat."
Really?
The battalion.
That
commander,
wasn't.
It was just like in Band of Brothers. They signed a letter that said, "We won't follow this guy into combat." The battalion commander relieved him, and then I was from a Missouri unit, so I talked to a guy from Raleigh. Actually, his name was Mitch Bassini. He was a colonel. He was a colonel, and I said I would like to volunteer to go be a sapper platoon leader.
Wow.
So I went to the platoon, and I had never met those guys before. I said, "Hey, I'm Lieutenant Hardwick. I'm your new platoon leader. You don't know me, I don't know you, but we're going to go on missions, and we're going to have to trust each other." So that first week, we were hit with the first IED that we got hit with on the patrol. They didn't know me, but a lot of the non-commissioned officers said, "Hey, you're real cool in combat, right? You're calm under fire."
Okay.
So we kind of like our chances with you. And that was good.
So
feedback.
You passed muster amongst the men that you were leading.
Yeah, because in firefights and explosions, I'm still pretty calm, or was anyway. And then to tell my story, I don't know why I'm going off my story, me for Tim Waltz, but then the unit I deployed with was going to go back, and this was a hard thing. So they said, "Hey, do you want to come back with us? You don't have to stay and extend with this unit you're with. You're almost getting killed like every day," which is true.
Yeah.
And then I said, "No, and about that same time, there were two soldiers from our unit who they were in a big IED attack. They came back. One guy was killed on scene. Other guys had shrapnel. And then one of the soldiers, he got back to Walter Reed, saw his son, and then he passed away right after that. So then I wrote a letter to the general, and I said, I can't come back early. Can't leave these guys out here. I'm going to extend. So I filed.
So you extended.
I extended and stayed
after seeing how bad it was,
which was frankly kind of hard on my family back home. They, they did not take it well, but I just didn't feel like I could leave those guys in Iraq. So I stayed later. There was a surge. It was a Sadr city getting overtaken. That spring, there were just firefights everywhere. The Iraqi police had been run over by Jaysh al-Mahdi. We were getting in ambushes like every day. We'd go to Sadr city like every day in April. Our front vehicle would get blown up. We get into a firefight. We get into a gunfight, basically kind of kill the enemy. Then we'd fall back to the base camp. We do it day after day.
Wow.
Came home at that summer, July, scars from getting blown up, seeing people killed. And then I started law school that August. And then,
So you went from that to being a lawyer.
Yeah, no, the different type of adversarial profession.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to talk about Tim Waltz. I was just like, you got me going on my story, Iraq story. But
I like to hear that because we never got into the particulars.
Yeah.
Of what it was like to be a platoon leader.
So I did route
in Iraq, and why you wanted to do that. What are your motivations? How you reacted?
Why did I want to do it
in front of all that deathly pressure on you, and it didn't affect you all that adversely. Do you have nightmares at night now? Or?
I don't have nightmares. I think it did affect me because I really realized being a sapper platoon leader that your life is really short and that everybody's mortal.
Yeah,
and that had a huge impact on me. And I think I'm sad about it, but it really instilled in me this idea that because I didn't like some of the decisions that people made, the Army made about how they prosecuted the war, just like Afghanistan pulling out, right? I thought that there was, the decisions that aren't made that I think if you're fighting a war, you should win the war. You shouldn't let people die, right?
Right.
So, and you should support those soldiers. So that gave me a sense of that, like your duty as a leader is to protect those soldiers. Their duty is to protect the country. If you're a leader, you're there to protect them so they can protect the country.
Yeah.
And there's always kind of a sadness about that.
But sometimes there's a conflict.
There's a little bit of conflict. So that happens sometimes. And
do they generally talk it out or say, I gave you an order, do it?
So there were a couple of times when I said, I'm not doing that because you're going to get everybody killed. And I just kind of stood my ground.
Good.
And
what did they say to you? Because right now they have all the power in the world over you.
Well, so the reason why I think about that is and I don't mean to make this all about the COVID vaccine, because I objected to the COVID vaccine mandate. So I don't want to say you should just follow orders. I want to say that you should have a duty, a moral duty. And there's a little bit of a compass that involves in that, right? Like, I don't think that I think we want leaders that have moral compasses. That's important.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
But but if you're going to be in the military, your moral compass should include being loyal to this country and being loyal to the soldiers, But I think that there are things like the mandates that Joe Biden put down in the military, like the political stuff, like the COVID stuff, I think leaders should stand up if something's wrong and say, you're not treating the soldiers right.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I distinguished that from Tim Walz, who had an opposition to the Iraq War, which
Yeah.
I at the time I went to basic training right after 9/11. That was the next summer.
Yeah.
That's when I went to basic training.
Yeah.
And I remember 9/11 vividly, the American flags that went up around here.
You were just a kid.
I was just a kid.
Yeah.
I was just a teenager. I joined the Army. And
Wow.
I was like, well, our country's under attack, right? It's under threat. I want to be part of protecting it. And I didn't know it was going to go. I didn't know it was going to go down that road, that journey, right?
Sure.
End up in Iraq, end up in battles, end up
Yeah.
in, firefights, see bombs get dropped, see RPGs, get grenades thrown at me. I didn't know all this stuff was going to happen.
Damn.
Left as a boy and came back as a man sort of thing.
Yeah.
But in some ways it's easier to handle things because you're like, man, I've been through all that. It's not that bad, right? In some ways you're like, man, life really is short.
Yeah.
And all that matters is your relationship you have with people who love you. All
Sure.
that matters is, what matters
What
is
you did in life.
what you do in life.
Yeah.
And life's short and it goes by just like that.
Yeah.
Whether you're killed when you're 20 in Baghdad or you die at 100, in a nursing home, it goes by just like that. And you got to make the most of it.
Wow. That was amazing. Charles Peterson, thank you for your service, sir. I think he's talking to you. And we all thank you for your service, Bill. You know that. I mean,
oh, no, I appreciate
sincerely.
it.
All
I appreciate it. Yeah.
What do you got to say to that? Oh, wait a minute. Barbara Dragoo
Jernigan.
Yeah,
she's fantastic.
Bill, thank you. I know her pretty well. Thank you for your service. We have a common friend.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Okay.
Yeah. And Floyd's great too.
Yeah. No, him and there's another one. It's, I can say it, can I? It's our masseuse, my daughter, Sarah. So a little plug for her. Anyways, what's your response to that, Chris?
Well, I want to, it sounds like I'm digressing again, but I want to point people back to April 13th of 1970, where you probably remember where you were at the time. It was the morning we heard, Houston, we have a problem. Okay, this is Jim Lovell on Apollo 13, almost 200,000 miles from the Earth. He's in a spacecraft blowing up around him. And when you listen to the tone of his voice, he says, Houston, we have a problem. They said, say again. You don't hear somebody who's panicking. You hear somebody who kept his cool because that's the only way they were going to make it home. And when I hear what Bill is describing here about how he responded in these situations, it reminds me of that. That's what we need in our war heroes. Now, the fact that all of us can't have that kind of cool nature is that we're different people. The problem with Tim Walz is the fact that not only did he not go into it, but now he's trying to grandstand off of the whole war hero thing, which
Sure.
It's not just a matter of he wasn't an actual hero like Bill here. It's the fact that he's now willing to just exploit people like that who actually did fight the war and use that to try to grandstand. No different than John Kerry. You remember the Swift Boat Veterans for Truth came out and said he was the worst sniveling backstabber when he was over there for a few months. And yet his whole campaign in 2004 for president was that he was a war hero.
Okay, well, he didn't get elected, did he?
No, he didn't. And
you think that had something to do with it?
I think two things. Well, that had a lot to do with it. The fact that Tim Walz didn't go, we know what he's made of. The fact that he's actually caught in this flagrant lie, he's going to grandstand over it. This is what we're dealing with these people. This is how they do every situation. They make a disaster out of it, and then they come back and say, hey, I'm a hero. Worship me.
All right, another subject now. Under Trump, inflation was 1.4%. Biden, after 18 months of his inauguration, 9.1%. 18 months into the Biden's administration, all right? 9.1% compared to 1.4. That's almost like 4.5 times, all right? So, and $7 trillion in spending by Biden. I think what do we got now as a debt, Chris?
Oh, I think it's
$34 billion.
I think I was going to say 35 trillion.
Yeah. Okay. So now, under regular circumstances, you've got guys against each other, and they're using facts, blah, blah, blah. Well, Biden and Kamala are saying, no, it was Trump that did this. Trump made this happen. We're going to take it down. After they completely ruined it, how did these people get elected? I mean, if they're listening to this show and other shows, and I think a lot of people they're listening to stuff on Fox. Fox isn't very reliable always, but they are talking about this. Even some of the MSM guys are looking at this, especially since I guess a few of them are Jewish too. They have conflicts, quite frankly. I have no conflict because these people have been screwballs and anti-Semitic all along, even though there are plenty of Democrats still who are Jewish. So what are your comments on that?
Yes, come here, Chris.
Yeah, let's go with Bill first.
Your question is, how do they get elected? Well, a pipe burst in Georgia, 90,000 ballots come in mail-in in Pennsylvania. So what causes inflation?
So you're saying it was cheating?
I think there's some fraud in the election process.
Yeah,
and for sure.
The
I think it's
next guest is going to tell you it was absolutely cheating. I can prove it.
Absolutely.
Let them sue me.
So
I can prove it.
I think we're in a bad way economically. What causes inflation? Inflation is caused by the amount of dollars in circulation relative to goods and services.
Right.
So you keep spending and spending and spending, printing money, and there's not production, goods, and services. So the value of the dollar declines. Your dollar is worth less. That means the price of everything goes up. And that really squeezes people who are retired on fixed incomes.
Mm-hmm.
It really squeezes middle income families. They're being destroyed by inflation. So spending is paid for one way or the other. If you don't raise taxes or you don't cut spending, you're going to cause inflation, and people will pay through it through prices. So what the federal government has to do is increase production, let people make things in America again, like Donald Trump said, manufacture, let people start businesses and hire again, increase the GDP in America, and stop spending. We spent all this cash into the economy, and then everybody quit working, and we quit producing. So what's going to happen? Prices are going to go up. So, and now we see the stock market correction. Could be a crash, could be a recession we're going into. And the instinct, the Keynesian instinct, John Maynard Keynes economic model will be to quantitative ease again, lower interest rates and to spend. And that might cause inflation to get worse. So we're just in a tight spot. And the way that we have to get through it is to control spending and increase production. We only do that with by energy production in the United States, by you fix the budget deficit by fixing the trade deficit. That means that we don't have, we're not making all of our cars in Mexico, China, and other countries. We're producing here and exporting. So that's actually kind of
put sanctions on them.
That's Trump's kind of tariff policy. We have to fix the trade deficit to fix the budget deficit. We have to fix the budget deficit to get spending under control. We have to get spending under control to stop inflation and destroying our dollar. So,
and get rid of a lot of BS things in the government.
Yeah, there's a lot we waste money on for sure. There's a lot.
My God,
for sure.
You got people. They make laws, okay, and then you got all those people that are part of executing the laws. They're called bureaucrats, and they come up and change the laws, and then they have to go back again and get it relitigated, so to speak. And it's a terrible thing. It just it throws all that money away.
That's the thought.
And it becomes huge amount of inflation.
There's a phenomenon I've been thinking about where you're the deputy director or you're the agency director or you're even in a local board or commission. You've been on it forever. And you start thinking, well, this is our money. This is my job. I'm going to grow my kingdom, grow my fiefdom. And then you lose the mentality that it's not your money. It's the taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
And you're not there as kind of a ruler. You're there. You should be there to help people live their lives and protect their freedom.
That's right.
And raise their families. But you kind of get in this groove, like, well,
you get power.
You get kind of power hungry, and people in government for a long time, or people in bureaucratic positions, administrative positions, they start to see them as we're the ruling class.
Yeah.
And you guys are the regular citizens, and we get to kind of tell you what to do and run your life. And part of people getting frustrated with that is expressed in the election of Donald Trump in 2016.
Yeah.
That they're like, you guys just think you know better than everybody else. You could run our lives. And they're not more qualified to run your life than you are. And it's just a phenomenon in government. You're there forever. You're the whatever, the undersecretary, or even at the state level. You're the guy who's running the highways or something.
Yeah, Chris.
And you just lose it,
Well, I don't know if this has been said to Bill before, but if he ever does decide to run for governor, put me on the team.
Yeah. Good.
I can't agree more on every.
You know, he is so ornery. This guy. He's not.
Is Bill ornery or am I ornery?
Jokes, and he always interrupts me, and he makes me have crickets. Like, go ahead, show him, because he won't laugh. I have to suffer through this. All right. So you like him. You don't like me.
Okay.
You like him.
I love you. I love you both. Now let me just go back. I was making notes because of so many things that Bill was saying here that I'm going, this point needs to be emphasized. Okay. We go back to, you mentioned spend less and produce more. Okay. And you mentioned drilling, manufacturing. Let's look at the fact that everything you need to do for the country to make us a successful, thriving populace that we see from the Democrats and from the rhinos, by the way, we see the exact opposite. We see the spending is going through the roof. We don't have the production. That's by design. The first day that Biden was ostensibly president, the first thing that they did was they signed an executive order stopping the drilling. Okay, let's choke out our energy production. We were actually an energy exporter at the beginning of the Biden so-called administration. Okay, they're choking out manufacturing. They're doing the same thing with our military, and it is actually born of contempt. You mentioned the people that get in office and then they start thinking of themselves as the ruling class. They have an absolute contempt for those of us who are out there fighting the wars, planting the crops, building the buildings. They have contempt for us because we're the cattle. We're supposed to feed the machine, and then they just skim off the top of it. This is a situation in which it is not government operating with the consent of the governed. And the more able they are to steal elections, whether it's through the vote fraud we saw in 2020 or the absolute disaster we're seeing at the border, bringing in all these people. And the purpose of bringing all these people is one of the main purposes anyway, is to have new voters. We're seeing an absolute contempt and an absolute war being waged on we, the people of the United States of America, and it's coming from within.
There's a fight. There's a fight to get rid of the Second Amendment, and you see this even with Trump's attempted assassination, and it is bipartisan in that the Democrats want to fight the Secret Service too, which is a positive thing, and yet the way they want to do it is to get rid of the gun that this guy used, which was an automatic weapon, whatever, and so when they want to take away the guns, like the gun shot him. So now we've got a war now, and even the strictest city in the world on gun laws is Chicago. And on the 4th of July, 117 people were shot and 17 were killed. And they've got all the gun laws. So talk about this a little bit, Bill, in terms of the Second Amendment.
In the Missouri legislature, there's a fight of the Second Amendment consistently now, every session, reoccurringly, because there are a lot of people who think that the only way to solve the violence in our country is to register firearms, register ammunition, take guns away from people, institute red flag laws. And to me, that's not going to solve the problem. That's just going to give the government more control and power over to oppress its citizens.
Absolutely.
So tyrannical governments fear of people who are educated, who know the facts, who have freedom of speech, who can defend themselves, who are not helpless, who can take charge of their own lives. And this is an emphatic core issue for me. Why was the government not distrustful of citizens being armed, right? Why would they want to take guns away from the citizens? Why do they want to control your thoughts and speech and behavior and take your guns away from you through red flag laws? There's a big push to do that because there's a massive push to control. But and even in Missouri, there's efforts about checking to make sure kids are doing okay and their parents are raising them right by inspecting guns in the parents' homes. Even when you go to the doctor's office, there's questions about, do you have a gun in the home? Is there a gun that kids get asked, stuff like that? And I've been thinking a lot this week about putting a stop to all of that. People have a right to defend themselves. the government is not to lord over you. An armed population is what keeps the government at bay. It's also what parts defends our country. That, John Locke described that as a basic right that you have to defend your home, to defend your family. And that's what puts you on par with the government and keeps the government from oppressing you. Look at all the societies where there's strict gun control, all the communist societies, socialist societies, totalitarian societies. So there's speech control, there's thought control, there's strict gun control. Do those people have freedom in those countries? Absolutely not. There's no freedom in those countries. Right. The government has all the guns, and that doesn't make any of the people safer.
Okay, Lisa.
Bill, I had a question regarding our Missouri elections. I'm reading an article here by Denny Hoskins.
Yeah.
And he's commenting on some disparity in the numbers of people that voted for certain items.
Yeah.
Like it's 1,770,000 or whatever that voted for the mayor and the amendments.
Yeah.
But then it jumps down by 72,000 people as far as the number that voted for all the other positions, Secretary of State, Attorney General, all that. And so that seems.
So there could be some voter fraud in St. Louis, or some manufacturing votes has happened in St. Louis. It's possible. I don't know for a fact. I think that there is a history of, like in 2000 when the polls were open till 2:00 or late at night in St. Louis, and then a bunch of votes came through, and then Democrats won statewide in Missouri. That's always made us suspicious of that. But I don't know for a fact. But then he's going to be our Secretary of State.
Right.
I'm looking forward to having a conversation about him, about getting to the bottom of it and making sure. Yeah. Honestly,
glad he won. We're sad about some other results.
Right? All right. Listen, we're having a party here because some guy with a cowboy hat is there. He's dancing too. And let's stay together. What the hell? It's kind of fun. All right. So play his song. Founder of Forensic Audits in Elections, running for U.S. Congress in Maricopa County, licensed pastor. Please welcome all the way from Phoenix. I think you're all the way from Phoenix, also in a GOP friendly area, Jeff Zink. Jeff, I've got you're surrounded by people. My wife, my lovely bride, JP.
Lisa, JP,
Bill Hardwick, and
hey,
I
Jeff.
have
Bill.
Chris Adamo as well.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Jeff. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell us about your primary. Congratulations.
Well, I appreciate it. We did a lot of hard work, a lot of walking, knocking on doors, going to people, listening to what they have to say, what their concerns are. And reflecting those concerns and making sure that my ideology, which is America first, making sure that we take care of our veterans above all first, that we take care of our homeless second, then we take care of our needy third. And the thing is that we start reflecting on the American people and not Ukraine and Europe and everybody else who's lined up and wants their handout. We need to start taking care of our own country first and our countrymen. That's what we're elected to do. And so it reflected, it was almost a 3-to-1 vote for me versus my opinion. I got 66% of the vote. He got 33% of the vote. So
he was a young guy, wasn't he?
He was a Democrat that actually flipped to become a Republican to try to primary me. So, it was really obvious when you looked at the debates between he and I that he wanted to increase taxes, wanted to research and think about all different ideologies and try to implement them. He was part of the woke program. He thought that the Green New Steel was the best thing that ever happened. And so when you start looking at what his politics were, all he did was get me razor sharp, ready to go for one of two because we still don't know who I'm running against. We finished the vote, and what separates Yasmin and Raquel are 42 votes. So it triggered a hand count. Surprise, surprise. We got to go now to a hand count. And so they're going to have to look at and see who won.
This is a Democrat primary.
This is a Democrat primary.
Yeah, okay.
And so, they're getting a taste of what it's like in using these machines. And so it's really interesting because I've been all of a sudden, since I've won my primary, I've been on lots of podcasts, lots of people have been brought on board to talk about Venezuela. And the thing is that America needs to pay attention very closely to Venezuela right now because we're 25 years behind them. See, a lot of people don't remember this, but the Smartmatic, which is also part of Dominion, took over the voting system in Venezuela with Hugo Chavez. All of a sudden, Hugo Chavez comes in. The second election, he's still elected again. Then he suspends elections, becomes a dictator, takes over the military. Literally, Venezuela went from the second highest GDP in the world to having over 14,000% inflation in their country today. They literally have to take a wheelbarrow of paper money that's worthless to go and buy bread.
And now we're headed for this. Bill, comments?
Yeah, I think what he says is the case. We're going down that road, and glad we've got leaders like Jeff to turn that tide. I just like everything we were talking about before, about inflation, about no border, about decrumbling our society, about bureaucrats and people who are officials who don't think they're servants of the people, think they've got a right to rule over the people. And all those become a formula over time for a country that goes down the exact same road as Venezuela, where the economy's destroyed. There's hyperinflation, socialism, all those problems. So as he's thinking that, I'm seeing in my path in my head, America going down that road over the next 25 years. And it scares me, frankly.
Chris.
Yeah, I want to take this back to something Bill was talking about a few minutes ago because he's talking about the Second Amendment. When you look at what's going on in Venezuela right now, from the perspective of the left, now us as Christian conservatives, we know that the reason we are where we're at is because God is in control. As far as the left is concerned, there's only one firewall that they think is preventing them from having total dominance over us, like is in Venezuela right now, and that's the Second Amendment. From their perspective, if we didn't have our guns, you would be seeing the kind of mass brutality and despotism right here in the streets of America that you're seeing in Venezuela. We've got to understand that that's a firewall that we need to preserve. And if we don't preserve that, they'll have an easy time silencing us.
All right. How's your son's 1-6 case? And also Enrique Terrio, whose mother I talked to last week or the week before, I forget.
Yeah, it was the week before when we both were on.
Right.
Enrique is still in prison. We still are trying to get him out. Ryan, we are trying to get the 1512 C2 that needs to be dropped. The prosecutors are now pushing back on his misdemeanors. But what's really interesting is that they've stopped communications now with his attorneys. And the thing is that that's called bad faith. There's supposed to be a negotiation between both parties, and only one side is reaching out, which is my son's side. They're reaching out, and the prosecutor and the judge is not reciprocating. So it's a big issue. It's a big issue for all of our J6ers. The thing is,
the Constitution, haven't they? When they refuse to do what the Supreme Court said to do. Is that correct?
You're bringing in the Constitution. Why are you doing that? I mean, do we really follow that now. I mean, this is the Democratic Party, right? I mean, this is we serve in a democracy. No, I mean, everything is. We live in a republic. We have a rule of law that we serve in this republic that has to be followed. And the Democratic Party, is very interesting. If you want to know where a candidate lies or a congressman or senator lies, listen to how they talk about our country, because a true constitutional will always say this is a constitutional republic. And the Democrats that are trying to overthrow our country is constantly saying that we need to have a better democracy.
Yeah.
And it's just miles apart. One's rule of mob rule, and the other is the rule of law. And we've got to understand this. And so we're educating, and that's what I'm doing, is educating. But more importantly, a lot of my constituents are coming to me, and they're going, Mr. Jeff, I left Mexico, I left Venezuela, I left Cuba, and I came here because I had hope. But what I left is now followed me here. It's actually here, and they're terrified to look in the face of the people who are now citizens of the United States that left another country for the American dream. The look in their eyes right now is terror. It's not that they're afraid. They're terrified because they know what's coming.
All right. Charles Peterson Waltz wants thought control and social media is filtering political ads and info to limit what we're allowed to know. And Patricia Odin Maxwell, congratulations, Jeff. So glad you won. Was praying for you consistently, as I was. Lisa Ann Weinbaum. Who's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Many congratulations, Jeff. Well deserved. Okay, so a bunch of kudos. Oh, even J.J. Bradshaw calling after his most elegant gesture this morning to explain the Second Amendment. Chris is spot on. An inside job, no doubt. Okay. Last show, Dave. Thank you, JJ, and you were a big part of it. Bill, what do you respond to the 1-6 case? You're a lawyer. Tell us what to do.
That's like I've said on the show many times. That's part of the reasons why I have to vote for Donald Trump, because the Constitution was thrown out the window. Yep. And to say, as Jeff was saying, the Democrats say democracy, 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 when at the same time you silence all these people who get to speak out. When it's true, there's only so many companies that control what you see. You can see Google searches change in real time on J.D. Vance, on the Trump assassination attempt. That's completely true. When, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz won 0 primaries in the Democrat national primary system. So you say democracy, but it's a move toward elite, a few people, certain ruling class who make all the decisions. That doesn't even seem very democratic. The only way to preserve freedom is not by rule by mob, not by rule by a few people, but that we have these governing principles in our constitutional republic, like the First Amendment, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, like the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed. There's very specific reasons we need those principles to govern our country and not be ruled by a mob of people who are going to take away your liberty, not be ruled by a king or tyrants or technocrats or scientific crats that are going to take your liberty away. But we have these principles. Your freedom to worship God, your freedom to speak out and criticize your government and ask questions, your right to keep and bear arms, to be secure in your person and your home. Those cannot be infringed and they cannot be violated. And your right to have due process of law, to be charged with an actual crime, not have your First Amendment rights violated, to have an attorney, to have a speedy trial. All those things were sacrosanct. The founding fathers looked at the tyrannical history of the world, right? Where there's autocracies, there's monarchs, and there's oppression in the history of the world. And they thought about what things are necessary. There was a real debate, and I'll just go on just for a second. I know Jeff's here to talk. There was a real debate about whether or not to have a Bill of Rights. Because some people thought, well, if we just say, hey, the government has these powers, they'll be confined to these powers. It's the Federalist versus Anti-Federalist debate. And the conclusion was, the upshot was, we have to have some caveats to prevent what this grows into, like in all countries in the world. So what are the caveats? What are the boundaries? You can worship in your own way. You can express your feelings on God. You can criticize the government. You could petition. You could assemble. You could form groups. You could protest. You can protest the elections if you want to. You have the right to keep and bear arms. Armed citizens are necessary to a free state. The government just can't come in your home and take your papers and search your house. You've got a right to know what charges are against you, to have an attorney, to have due process. The founding fathers put those rules in there. It's just like Frederick Douglass said, the man's rights rest in 3 boxes: the ballot box, the cartridge box, and the jury box. And we've seen an attack on all of those freedoms, especially in the people who went to on January 6th to protest what was a sham and a fraud and say, hey, we think this is messed up. We got some questions that we want the government to look into. That's totally fair for citizens to do that. And they get prosecuted and thrown in jail for a year, and they get overcharged and have all their rights taken away. There's no due process because the government wants to make a statement. Don't question us. Why isn't every American citizen upset about that?
And why did Trump pick J.D. Vance over you for vice president? I have no idea. None at all. Chris?
Yeah, I want to, I have several things. You guys are just nailing it one thing after another. First of all, back to what Jeff was talking about with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The first 5 words of the First Amendment should be written in letters of fire because they personify the understanding of why we have a Constitution and Bill of Rights. They don't say, okay, we're going to give you this ability, Jeff, to do this and do that. They say Congress shall make no law. Who is the Bill of Rights limiting? They're limiting the Congress. They're limiting the ability of the government. Your rights are already there. They're given by God. The first 5 words show, and the Second Amendment, the rest of them we can follow, it's limitations on their ability to trample your rights. Okay. Having said that, and again, back to what Bill was saying about their concern is that we don't know the truth. Their concern is that we don't have access to the facts because they can't control us unless they can keep us ignorant. And one of the ways they keep us ignorant is this whole confusion between democracy and republic. Oh, that's that political science stuff. I don't want to get quite that much into the weeds. No, that's a defining issue. I've heard the best definition of a democracy is 6 wolves and 4 sheep voting on what to have for dinner. Okay, if we have just a democracy, we have the potential for the mob to overthrow the rights of a huge portion of the population.
All right, good analogy. Fulton City and other 2020, 2022 suspects in cheating elections, all of a sudden, they're starting to have investigations about this, Jeff.
Absolutely. And did you hear about the what happened in Georgia? Georgia issued an apology to Donald J. Trump because they just declared that he won the 2020 election in Georgia, which is what we knew already, and had put that down.
This apology, I knew about they were investigating actually Fannie Willis of all people in Fulton County, amongst others, I'm sure. Where is it? Where can we find the that Georgia has suddenly given the 2020 race to Donald Trump?
It's in the last, if you go on YouTube or Rumble, it's the last press conference that they put out in regards to the evidence that they had gone through. And you can also go to voterga.org. And that's Garland Favorito's website. Go on there. It has all that information. You can download all of the information that he had been working on, and that they have done a great job of taking what we started in 2021 with the audits and stuff, and they just kept going. And they finally have got enough evidence that even the governor has actually sent a letter to Brad Rasenberger, which says you have to clean up the voter rolls now because this is unacceptable. And so it's really interesting how all of this is playing out.
It's a crime. Wait a minute. This is not just unacceptable. It's a crime, is it not?
Yes. It is. And the thing is that we need to sit down and have people that have, and using a Jewish term, the chutzpah, to go after these people and actually hold them accountable. And we have to elect state House and Senate representatives. We have to elect federal House and Senate election officers, and we need to have people that are going to have that chutzpah to go after these people and actually make sure that they're prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Now, again, if you notice, I'm not saying we're just going to go out and hang them and not go through the legal process, because that makes us no different than the people that are doing this to us. So we're going to make darn sure that we do the right thing through the court of law. We do it through our Constitution. We do it through our legal system, and we do it according to what our founding fathers have established. If found guilty and it rises to the level of high treason, then they have 3 days to get their affairs in order, and they're executed by our federal government. So these are the things that are real and on the table, and we need to have people that are going to sit down and say, no, you have done enough against the American people. We are now going to hold you accountable. Until that happens, they keep doing what they're doing, and this doesn't help us at all. And if there's no consequences for what you're doing wrong, why is there incentive to actually do anything different?
Sure. Amy, howdy, Shell. Thank you, Bill Hardwick, for all you do to educate people. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
And Patricia Oden Maxwell, the Dave Weinbaum Show is a great voice for freedom. And what a great team with all of us connected with your show. Thank you. I believe it's a God's team. It's God's team that plays a big role for America's survival. Thanks, Dave. God has called you for this job. Thank you, and I believe everything you say, obviously, because it's very nice of you to say that about this show and the people sitting here, including my lovely bride. See how I got you in there? See how I worked that in there? All right.
Thank
So
you.
what do you think about what
Thank you.
Jeff just said,
And JP.
Bill?
I think that I think that people always say, well, that'll never happen. The government will never get away with that. That'll never happen. We never put up with that. And just like a frog in boiling water,
Right.
It seems like we put up with more and more and more and more until we're boiled in the water. So we've got to have some changes. I think that we all have to remember, like what Pastor Pat said.
Wait, let me intercede with one side question.
Yeah.
Wasn't the war to make this country, the Revolutionary War, done with less reason than this? This is huge.
Yeah.
They were talking about a 3% tax or a 30-cent tax on tea, or something like that. This is huge.
Yeah,
other stuff, Britain was wondering what the hell was going on.
Yeah, I don't think George Washington would be very pleased with they had a revolution for what we let to happen.
I mean, this is big stuff compared to that.
Well, yeah, it is. We're a lot less free. We're a lot more taxed. In some ways, we have a lot more tyranny than even they did in the colonies. In some ways,
Yep, absolutely.
Speech. I do think what Pastor Pat said about God's involved. I personally believe, I don't have authority for this. I'm not speaking authoritative. This is my personal belief. There would not be United States of America without the providence of God, without God helping things happen and raising people up and caring about the state of human affairs.
And that's why we need God for guidance.
That's right.
To get back our rights.
That's right. So we ask for his help. But also that means that we should conduct ourselves in a way that tries to honor him. And try to do that, right? And we should fight for what's right, not just fight. We should fight for the right. But I think that's true. Like, our country's founded. I was talking to somebody the other day. I go, man, I got some honorary constituents, and they go, yeah, that's the whole country. This country was founded on people who said we're not putting up with it anymore, right? And that's how our nation founded, right? We're like, hey, you can't do that to us. You can't push us around. Why? Because we have rights that are given to us by God. Why? Because a king isn't up here and we're down here, because we're equal before the Lord, right? And that those principles started a country, and we kind of lost our way, I think, over time on that.
Well said. Chris?
Okay, and I've made a bunch of notes here because these guys are just absolute fireballs with what they're saying.
Oh, yeah.
They're right on the money. I want to go back a little ways to what Jeff was talking about, holding people accountable. And just for one example, January 6th, we've got to get to the bottom of who actually trampled rights and sidestepped the law. And they did it very specifically. And one of you said this already. They did it very specifically to make an example out of these people who were trying to fight for the right, because they want to tell the American people, you do not have the right to peaceably assemble for a redress of grievances. Well, if a stolen presidential election is not a grievance worth assembling and talking about, then nothing is. And but their goal is to get us to, we have to accept what their edicts when they tell us. That doesn't make us a free people. That makes us just the subjects of the king. Okay. Taking that from there to what happened in Georgia. Why isn't this national news? And I ask this rhetorically, because what this is Georgia coming out and saying, yeah, the election was stolen, but it's water under the bridge. We can't do anything about that now. The timing is great because they can come out and they can exonerate themselves and there's no real consequences. The problem with that is the ball is actually in our court. And going back to the 2020 election, by the end of the week, you've heard me say this before, Dave, by the end of election week, because of the Alinsky attacks to tell us it was the most secure election in history, and anybody who says otherwise is a wild-eyed conspiracy theorist and a nut and everything. By the end of election week, you had major conservative voices that were saying things like possible voting irregularities. That's like saying the Titanic might have had a little snow on the deck. Okay, we ignored the elephant in the room and tried to sidestep it because we didn't want to be targets of their derision and mockery. And in that, we just granted them, we just forfeited at that point. And so what we've got to do, the ball is in our court. We have got to start by calling a spade a spade. Now, you said we need to do this. I think Bill said we need to do this in a manner that honors God. That's absolutely true. The problem that we face is we let them tell us what that means. And what we end up doing is trying to fight the war in a manner that honors the enemy. And that's not the point. We're not going to win that way. They know how to manipulate us into a corner that way to where we're helpless and hopeless because we're trying so hard to prove that we're not really the bad people they say we are. Instead of saying, call me a traitor, call me an anarchist, call me whatever you want. Here are the facts and here's how I'm going after them because I am going to uphold the Constitution and the rule of law.
All right, we got less than 5 minutes. We're going to have predictions. What happens? What any predictions you've got? I'll start off with Jeff and take about a minute. Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to have to leave right after I get done with here because I'm going straight to another international podcast that I'm on. So the thing is that
before you start, tell us where we can contribute.
Okay. It's thinkzink.vote. So ThinkZink, Z is in zebra, INK.vote. I've been blasting it on all social media. $5 to $10 goes a long ways for my campaign. I'm $1.5 million behind whoever decides to I run against because both the Democrats have already raised that much money. And of course, with Biden economics and being as bad as it is, the Republicans aren't able to, support me the way that Democrats are getting money funneled through different people to them. And then Alex Soares came in and donated $10 million to Maricopa County's DNC. So I don't need 10 million. I need one, and I need to go against them, and then that gets me elected. So thinkzink.vote is the website. And the thing is that what we need to focus in on here as far as the prediction, they're going to throw everything they possibly can to even shut down the election and not have it. This is a playbook that comes straight out of Hugo Chavez 25 years ago, or actually it was 20 or 19 years ago when he shut it down and dismissed the elections and then declared himself as a dictator. Biden has already stated that there wouldn't be a cohesive transition of power, that there's going to be issues if Donald Trump gets in office. So they're already preparing us for these issues. And Dave, as always, I really appreciate y'all having me on your show.
The pleasure is mine. Bill.
Predictions?
Yes.
Jeff Zink goes to Congress.
All right. Chris, no. Finish up.
No, he holds some people accountable. We have some great hearings where he's asking the Justice Department some questions about what they did, and we shine some light on this whole thing. And that's exactly one of the many reasons we need him in Congress for. There's some efforts to have some weird stuff around the election. People try to thwart it, but no matter what happens, I show up on election day, I show my driver's license, and I vote for Donald Trump, and nobody stops me from doing that.
Thank God. All right, Chris, close it down. Less than a minute.
Real fast, first of all, God bless you both, Dave and Bill there, and Jeff, if he's still listening. Keep carrying the torch, keep fighting the fight. And for those who say, wow, what Jeff just said sounds so extreme. In retrospect, he said a lot of things over the years sounded extreme. When was he ever wrong? And this is what we need to remember when they accuse us of sounding extreme.
Exactly the point. We got to get more and more vocal. And we got to show up to places. We got to show up to vote. That's for sure. And we got to understand what the history of this country is. Go back and look at how the revolution took place. Yep. And you'll see that we're in much worse situation here right now than they were back in the time of the revolution. England didn't want to fight us. They just wanted us to give them some money. That's all they wanted to do. Not even a lot of money, because England had spent money on the colonies. All right. They didn't really want a war. And yet, they sent 7,000 or 10,000 troops. And then guys are facing each other with guns. And what happens with that? We get a war. Okay. Now, they weren't going to back down necessarily, but they didn't really put up a hell of a fight. England, did they? I mean, I don't think they did. And I think it was a hell of a fight in our part, because we had most of the people who were under 1-year contracts. 1 year. Okay? And he had trouble finding people. Washington, really, he's the guy that led this and succeeded in the end with a lot of hard work. He had to train guys all the time. He had to figure out how to get them to fight all this. All right, listen. I'll be back with another edition of Dave Weinbaum Show. Thank you, everybody.